Nurse Karen Allen is suing her former pet sitter, 21-year-old ER clerk Tiffany Caldwell, for rent and for the cost of a Welsh Corgi. Karen says while she was away, her dog was euthanized.
Miss Allen, according to your complaint, you hired Miss Caldwell to house and dog sit for you. You were going to be gone for several months, and you had to leave your dog at home. The arrangement was that she would stay in your house for how many months?
It was going to be from March of 2004 until August of 2004.
Unfortunately, when you came home in August, you found that your dog had been euthanized.
Yes, ma'am.
And your house trashed.
Yes, ma'am.
And you want Miss Caldwell to now pay you for rent and for your dog.
Yes,
I don't know how you set a price on that. What kind of dog did you have?
I had an AKC registered Pembroke Welsh Corgi.
How long had you had the dog?
Approximately about a year and a half.
Boy or a girl?
A male.
Where is your home?
In Knoxville, Tennessee.
And where were you going for 5 months?
I was going to work as a travel nurse in Newark, New Jersey.
Is this your son?
Yes, ma'am.
He was going with you?
No, he stayed with his father during the 5 months.
And where does his father live?
In Morristown, Tennessee, about 40 miles away from Knoxville.
How did you find Miss Caldwell?
A common friend of ours that we both share suggested her, said that she was looking for something, and she worked for the same hospital system I worked at in Knoxville, and it's a very choosy hospital system, so I felt that, you know, they've checked her out, and they've checked me out, so we should probably be a pretty good fit. We met and talked, and she agreed to watch my dog and live in the house while I was gone.
Is that correct so far, Miss Caldwell?
Yes, ma'am.
So she moved into the house?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you check on the house and the defendant during the 5 months that she was there?
Yes, ma'am, I did. I was home 2 or 3 times to take Matthew to hockey events. I would fly in for the weekend, stop by the house, check on the dog. Everything seemed fine. And I would call her frequently. So it was phone tag sometimes, but I would always get a message back, everything was fine. In July, I did call to check on my dog, and she told me that mosquitoes were bad in the area and that he had a few mosquito bites, but he was fine.
You remember that conversation in July?
Actually, it was flies, and she said that it had happened yearly, that his ears would get irritated from where the flies would bother him when he would stay outside.
Why was he staying outside?
The agreement between her and I was, since I worked at the time 10-hour shifts, and she had worked 12 when she lived there, that the dog would, of course, stay outside because couldn't leave him inside that long. And there was a lead that he was attached to. He had a house, he had food, he had water. When I was home, he was in the house with me. When I was at work, he was out in the yard.
When would you leave for work?
It differed. Sometimes I'd work morning shift, sometimes I'd work graveyard shift, evening shift.
You mean when you worked the night shift, you would leave the dog outside all night?
Yeah, that's when he would stay outside nightly.
Was that your agreement with her?
He was not supposed to be outside all night. He was crate trained. He had a nice, large, roomy crate in the house. And a lot of times, even when I was at work, if I felt the weather was not acceptable and it wouldn't be good for him to be outside, he wouldn't go outside.
Were you sleeping at the house every night?
For the first month or so that I had moved in, I did. And then I got a phone call from Karen telling me that the landlord had told her that he wasn't happy with the fact that someone else was staying there, because I had occasionally had a friend that I worked with stay with me, and he apparently wasn't happy about any of the situation.
Well, he wasn't unhappy with you staying in the house, just with the friend.
Well, the conversation was it was a general, he wasn't happy about any of the situation. He didn't like it. He apparently wasn't happy with Karen being away and somebody else being in the house at all.
Miss Caldwell.
Karen Allen says her former pet sitter, Tiffany Caldwell, owes for trashing her house and causing her Welsh Corgi to be euthanized.
The boy that you had staying at the house, was this your boyfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
I made it very specific that I didn't want any strangers in my house, Your Honor.
Right. Don't give me baloney. Did the landlord complain to you that there was this guy in the house?
Yes, ma'am, he did.
And did you tell her that?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
So you told her not to have the guy in the house?
Correct.
Right. That's different than you not staying in the house. That just says, tell your boyfriend not to stay there. There's a difference, Miss Caldwell. So if she told you the boyfriend couldn't stay there, you decided to stay at his place? Is not an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what you did?
Sometimes.
Okay. So when you stayed there sometimes, that means that you went to work. And when you say you went to work, you left the dog outside. And then when you went to your boyfriend's house, where did you leave the dog?
The dog would stay out.
So that the dog would be out sometimes for 24 hours at a time?
Sometimes, yes, ma'am.
That's irresponsible, Miss Caldwell. Very irresponsible. When you make an arrangement with somebody and you find yourself a boyfriend, then you call her up and you say, listen, I can't keep that part of the bargain because I now have a boyfriend, and it's very important that I sleep with him, because if I don't sleep with him, I'll die. So you're going to have to find somebody else to take care of the dog. You don't just disregard your responsibility and allow the dog to stay outside for 24 hours at a time. We understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
You think I'm right?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think you did the wrong thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Good, because that's not what your answer says. I read your answer and you said she told me I couldn't stay there. I said, gee, that doesn't make sense. Here's the woman who hires you to stay in her house. Why would she tell you you couldn't stay there? She didn't tell you you couldn't stay there. She said your boyfriend couldn't stay there. When you got home in August, what did you find, Miss Allen?
We arrived home on August the 13th, Matthew and I. We drove into our driveway, and the dog was not outside. It was a very hot day, and so I thought, well, maybe she had placed the dog inside. But somehow I had this sinking feeling that moms have in their stomach. We got into the house, called for the dog. There was no dog. There was a horrible stench in the house where garbage had been piled up, dirty dishes with water that had like 1/4 of an inch of mold on the top layer of the water. Immediately I said to my son Matthew, I said, we need to go to the dog shelter. We got in the car and went to the shelter, which is 1 mile from my home, and walked in and asked if anybody had turned in a Welsh Corgi. A young man had said, we received a Corgi. What kind is it? I told him it was a Pembroke. He asked me if it was tricolored. I told him yes. He says, I think we have your dog. And of course I was ecstatic. We get back into the back. They couldn't find the dog. They asked me to wait in reception. About 10 or 15 minutes later, a woman walked out who was the manager. She was visibly upset, and she said, I am so sorry to tell you this, but at the same time that you walked in, we were euthanizing your animal, we believe. They asked if we wanted to see the body and identify it, and I said yes. I had to know. Matthew preceded me down the hall and went into her office where they had laid the dog. And he started crying, and right away we knew that it was the dog. And my last vision of this animal is him curled up on the floor with his dog.
How did the dog get to the shelter?
I'm not exactly sure. I know on the evening of the 7th, the morning of the 8th, I was working. I got off at around 1:45, 2 a.m. I had went to the house to feed the dog, and of course, I was going to stay there that night. And I pulled into the driveway, but the dog didn't run up to the car. So I looked around and couldn't find him.
So you don't know what happened to the dog. The dog got out somehow.
Right.
And what about the mess that was left in the house?
There
Mom
was
is not an answer.
There was dirty dishes in the house.
Why?
I left because I was upset. The dog wasn't there. I couldn't find him. I couldn't get.
You left the dishes earlier. You left the dishes early. You didn't leave the dishes then. You left the mess in the house before. Why?
There's no excuse.
Where are you living now?
I'm living in an apartment.
And how much rent do you pay?
$360 a month.
$360.
Yes,
times
ma'am.
5. That's $1,800. You had a bartering agreement with her. Your agreement with her was that in exchange for watching the dog and taking care of the house, you could live in her home rent-free. You didn't live up to your end of the agreement. So you have to pay her rent. Right? Sounds right to me. That's $1,800. Now, you can't put a price on your dog, but there has to be some statement to this young lady that she can't take that kind of responsibility and just cast it out the window because she finds herself a boyfriend. Right? I will put a price on it for the purposes of this litigation. The price that I'm putting on is $2,000. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $3,800. $1,800 for rent and $2,000 because she didn't take care of her responsibility. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Railroad conductor Joseph Raley is suing his niece, 19-year-old student Katie Pontius, for loans to pay credit card bills and for the cost of bus tickets. Joseph says Katie is headed down the wrong path.
Mrs. Raley, I'd like you to stand up with your husband. This is your niece. Is this your sister's child or your brother's child?
My sister's child.
And according to what I read, you were very fond of her, probably still are, and you claim that you made a series of loans to her, one to take a bus trip, a vacation, and then after the trip she came back to live with you and you gave her a credit card to use, and you claim with the understanding that she would make the payments on the credit card, somehow pay you back for both the trip and the credit cards. Things didn't work out in your home with her. She didn't obey the rules. You told her to leave, and you want your money.
Yes, ma'am.
And your niece says that you were a wonderful aunt and uncle to her. You were almost like parents, and you did give her money for this bus trip, and you did give her a credit card, and she used them, but there was never any understanding that she would have to pay you back. Right?
Yes.
Do you have children?
No, ma'am.
So tell me about the first loan that you claim you made to her.
Well, my niece Katie, she had a troubled childhood, and when she turned 18, she wanted to leave home. She asked for my help, and I'd end up financing 6 bus trips for her.
Was your sister, her mother, in agreement that she leave home?
She was supportive.
Are there other children in the home?
She has 2 sisters,
Younger or older?
both younger.
What about your younger siblings? Are they still home?
My sister Roxanne, she's there. My son Matthew, who's 5 months old, and my sister Amber, who's 18.
Where did you get a 5-month-old son, Katie?
Got pregnant when I went to Utah.
That wasn't so smart.
Wasn't planned. It happened.
Got to be more careful.
Yeah, I have one on the way.
That's not being too smart.
I know.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She has a child that she cannot care for. She's going to have another one with yet another father. She doesn't have enough money to keep herself or her child in diapers or birth control.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Joseph Raley says his niece, Katie Pontius, owes almost $5,000 in loans. Joseph says Katie is a 19-year-old single mother with another child on the way.
You ever hear of birth control?
Yeah, I'm on it. I was on it. My doctor thinks I'm just immune to it or something.
Then maybe you'll be one of those unfortunate people who just have to try abstinence. If that's the case. I'd never heard of somebody who was just immune to the ingredients in birth control, but you have to take them orally in your mouth.
I do.
Doesn't work anyplace else. Who's taking care of your 5-month-old baby?
I normally do.
Are you living back at home?
No, I've moved out. I'm living with my boyfriend right now.
And you and your boyfriend take care of the 5-month-old baby?
He is going to be coming to live with me.
So right now he's with your mother?
Yes, and my 2 sisters. She's trying to take custody of my son because I'm a college student and she thinks I can't financially support him. And so she's threatening to take him away. So I'm letting him stay with her right now at this point in time. I'm not signing over any rights. She thinks I am. But I'm getting my own place really soon here, and then I'm going to take him back.
But in the meantime, you're going to have another blessed event.
Yes.
What do you want from her?
Outside of this financial settlement, I want her to pay this bill.
From what?
From what?
From
well,
what?
when it started out,
She can't get herself arrested. She can only get herself pregnant.
she's got that part down.
She's got that part down pat. You're absolutely right. So you want her to pay for the bus trips that you financed?
Yes.
And after you financed the bus trips, when did she come to live with you?
She moved in with us October 7th, 2003.
And when did she leave?
She left approximately November 14, 5 weeks. She was with us for 5 weeks, went through 5 jobs.
And now we're a year and some months later. So what brings you to court now?
Well, there was a current event in August of 2004. She's going to school. She needed clothing. Most of it's clothing. Her mother said she'd back her up. When she got her Pell Grant, October 1st, 2004, she was supposed to have paid for that portion of the bill. The Pell Grant came and went, and I never got paid, so that was it.
So her mother guaranteed payment.
She said she'd back it up, and...
Her mother, is
yes.
what you're telling you, her mother guaranteed payment.
Yes.
I received my financial aid in October, but I didn't receive all of it. I'm waiting to receive the other portion of it. I had to buy my son diapers and food, and I had some bills to pay to my parents because my parents need the money more than my Uncle Joe does. They are well set on money.
That's not your business. How well heeled they are has nothing to do with you. They are not responsible for you. They are not responsible for your mistakes. They are not responsible for your clothes. The fact that they choose to keep advancing money to you is their error. But you can't make a judgment. Who are you to say that they have enough money, I don't have to pay them back? That if you want to pursue the matter of a loan, you pursue it with your sister. I don't think that you continue to give this young lady money up until a couple of months ago, understanding the circumstances of her life. That is, she has a child. She has a child that she cannot care for, who's being cared for by your sister. She's going to have another one with yet another father. She's all over the place, and yet you continue to advance her money. And it is my belief that you advanced her money not with the expectation that she was going to pay you back, but with the expectation that if you were going to see any of this money, it was going to come from your sister, not from her. She doesn't have enough money to keep herself or her child in diapers or birth control. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
21-year-old fitness consultant Megan Donahue is suing her ex-boyfriend, 24-year-old construction worker Brian Heineck, and his mother, Ann, for the return of a bedroom set and entertainment system.
Ms. Donahue, this used to be your boyfriend, is that right?
Yes.
You have a child with him?
Yes, I do.
How old is that child?
9 months.
Boy or girl?
Boy.
And for a period of time, you lived in Mr. Heineck's home with his mother.
Yes.
And it is your claim that there was some sort of an altercation. You left, and Mr. Heineck refuses to give you back 2 items of furniture that you purchased that belonged to you. Mr. Heineck says that the bed he paid for and that the home theater was given to him. He doesn't say by whom. When did you move out?
April 9th.
And you moved out with your son?
Yes, I did.
Where did you move to?
My house, my parents' house.
When did you go back for your furniture?
April 9th is the last time I've ever been at their house.
When did you tell them you wanted the bed and the home entertainment center?
April 9th.
Okay. Now, what?
Well, I was there. My son was not there when she came back with her sister, and she did want the bed. She made no mention of an entertainment center. She was very emphatic about the bed.
How old is your son?
My son?
I'm 24, ma'am.
He's 24. Is he your youngest?
No.
Let him talk for himself. Let's deal with the entertainment center first, Mr. Heineck.
Mm-hmm.
Who bought it?
We had both bought it.
Who paid for it?
We had both paid for it.
How much did you pay for it?
I'd say $180 at least.
Yeah, I have receipts for everything I paid for and an itemized list of everything that I wanted back. And he did pay, when I was on maternity leave, he did pay part of the bed.
Okay.
And I did pay him back, and there's a council check in here approving
May I
that,
see
I
that,
paid him
please?
back. Yeah, that's all for the bed and everything.
Why did she give you a check in March of 2004 for $600?
I never received the check for $600 in March. We weren't even talking together in March.
Yes, we were. I didn't move out till April 9th.
I never received the check
Would
for
you show him this, please?
$600. Oh, this is for the side work I was doing for her dad at the gym when I was rebuilding the gym.
Okay, so that's for work that you did for her father.
Yeah, when they own a gym.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
there should be another check somewhere for $350 that they had also paid me.
No.
Okay. Now, you say you paid her about $180, sir?
Well, that was for the TV.
How much was the television?
Maybe $240, I don't know, something around there. It was like a 27-inch TV.
Okay.
It wasn't bad.
And how much did you pay her towards the bed, which was...
I got $650 towards the bed.
Let us say that everything that you say is true, Mr. Heineck, that you did pay for some part of both the entertainment center as well as the bed. That doesn't mean that you get to keep both.
Understandable.
So how do you want to deal with it?
You know, I don't feel that, you know, I mean, like I said...
No, I don't know because you're not saying anything. You're just
well, I mean,
comforting.
I don't know, I understand how she justifies that she asked for the entertainment center when the only thing she's ever wanted was the bed.
She's just... Women change their mind.
I'll give her the money for the bed, you know, but I mean, I think that that's the only thing I should give her the money for.
And the television, the entertainment
I'll give her
center?
the, I mean, I'll give her the television. She could have it.
Oh, great. So the entertainment center is to be returned to her within 5 days from today's date. You keep the bed, sir. You're going to pay her $750 for the bed. That's all. Judgment for the plaintiff, $750 and the entertainment center within 5 days. Thank you.
Business owner Dawn Callahan is suing her father's ex-girlfriend, homemaker Dee Colarusso, for the return of her late mother's desk. Dee claims the desk was abandoned.
Ms. Callahan, Ms. Colarusso is your father's former girlfriend.
Correct.
According to your complaint, your father has a desk that belonged to your mother, who passed away, and the desk was to be yours. He was bringing it to you. And he stopped over at his girlfriend's house, and for some reason he left his truck there for a while and the desk. They subsequently broke up. She has your desk. You want it back.
Yes.
You have a picture of the desk?
No, I don't.
Do you?
No, certainly.
I'd like to see it, please. Oh, it's a pretty little lady's desk.
Yes.
Where is it, in your living room?
No, it's upstairs in my bedroom.
How long do you know Miss Callahan?
I'd say approximately a year and a half, year.
Is she a nice person?
At times.
When did your mother pass away?
April 26, 2002.
Was this her desk?
Yes, it was.
Did you tell Miss Colarusso that it was your mother's desk?
Yes, I did.
When did she tell you that?
To my recollection, I had never heard anything about it except that Lynn moved it into my home 2 months after he moved into my home.
He did?
Yes, and left it in my garage.
Yes.
It proceeded to get mildew, all kinds of markings, and all the rest of it. I had a couple of friends come in, empty it out, put the stuff into a green bag to lighten it so they could move it upstairs into my upstairs apartment, and they did so. So no, it's been receiving much better care.
Well, that's very nice, but it's not your desk.
Well, I consider it storage fee.
I don't care what you consider it. You had a storage arrangement with him?
No.
Well, if you didn't have a storage arrangement with him, my dear, then you can't say, I'm taking the desk for storage fee.
I took his car for storage fee.
Listen to me very carefully. It doesn't belong to you. It's not your desk. Romance is over. It's over. You can't just decide you're going to protect the property that doesn't belong to you and then say, somebody says, I want my desk back. You say, well, I took it upstairs and I've been taking care of it, so now it's mine. You have to give her back the desk 5 days from today. Make arrangements with the mover. You want to leave the desk upstairs and have her mover bring it downstairs, or you want your mover to bring it downstairs?
Who says it's her desk?
I do! Now, that's her father. Whose desk is it?
My daughter's desk.
Right. Belonged to her mother. She wants her mother's desk, and she doesn't want you to have it. And it holds absolutely no sentimental value for you whatsoever, just mad value because you're not together with the prize package anymore. She gets a desk back in 5 days. I'll sign the order. That's it.
Excuse me?
What?
My paperwork, all my mother's legal paperwork that was inside there, 401ks and everything. Can
I don't know where that
is.
is. Where is it?
Gone.
What did you do with it?
It went out with the trash. All the trash that Lenny had dumped.
It's gone. Listen to me. It's probably gone. She's not nice. She's probably mad. Did he dump her?
In a nice way.
I don't care whether it's a nice way. It's never a nice way to a lady to get dumped. Did he dump her?
Yes.
That's what she did with your mother's stuff that was inside the desk.
Okay.
Dumped it. Got it?
Okay.
The desk you get back. 5 days.
Okay.
And it better be in good condition. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
17-year-old Melissa Wilson and her mother, Sue Dutcher, are suing Melissa's half-sister, 23-year-old college student Beth Lape, for the return of Melissa's personal belongings. Beth is countersuing for rent and for a broken front door.
Melissa,
Yes.
you are how old?
17.
This is your sister.
Yes.
These two young ladies are your daughters. Is that right?
That's correct.
According to your complaint, Melissa, you moved in with your sister,
Yes.
and you have a child who's 4 years old,
Yes, I do.
and you moved in with your child.
Yes, I did.
It didn't work out. You left.
Yes.
And your sister refuses to return property that she says she has that belongs to you, and she acknowledges that she has property that belongs to you. She says you can have the property back when you pay her what you owe her in rent. As far as her counterclaim against your mother is concerned, she says that you have harassed her and some other nonsense, which I'm sure she'll tell me about when I give her a brief opportunity. What property do you have that belongs to your sister?
Clothing, personals, a couple toys of her daughter's.
Why haven't you given it back to her?
When she stayed with me, what happened at the beginning of August of this year, she had called me. We started talking more often, 2-3 times a day. She wanted to move into the city because she lived about an hour away from the city. And she expressed to me on several occasions she wanted to come stay with me. And I said, all right, the first couple of weeks she moved, I went and got her on the 17th of August. She wanted to stay. I said, you know, the rest of the month, the 2 weeks, you know, fill out applications. You don't have to worry about, you know, just pick up after yourself. And if I need you to babysit here and there, you know, for that or whatever, then that's okay.
Prior to moving into your house, who was she living with?
She was living with her father and stepmother.
Let me cut to the chase, my dear. Your sister is 17 years old. You can't make a contract with her for rent. Do you understand?
Yes, I do understand.
Good! That's what the law says. The law says unless a court has emancipated her, and I don't hear that any court has emancipated her, she's 17 and she cannot enter into a binding contract to pay you rent. You cannot withhold her property. Do you understand? Good. So 5 days from today, you are to box her property and make sure you box it appropriately and keep it all in
I already
good
boxed it
order.
up. Yeah.
And she will make arrangements to come and pick it up.
Thank
Understood?
you. Yes.
All right. Now, you have a counterclaim against your mother. You want to tell me what that's about?
Yes. On the 8th of October, they had come to my house.
For what?
She had to get her stuff. She had a key.
Okay, she came to your house to get her property
With the
that you
cops.
previously would not give her.
Exactly.
Okay.
She came with a cop. They kicked in the door. Now, she had a key. I still don't understand why they kicked in my door.
Who kicked in your door?
Both of them. I have a police report, if you'd like to see it.
Now, where were you when they kicked in the door?
I was upstairs in my children's room, laying my youngest one down for a nap. The door was closed. I'm sorry.
How do you know that your mother kicked in the door?
The police told me that.
That's hearsay.
It's in a police report. They both kicked it in. And also my witness. She did see the incident, what happened that day.
Step up. Are you a neighbor of hers or a friend of hers?
I'm her half-sister.
When did you arrive at her home that day?
I'd say between about 4:30 and 5 o'clock.
Were you there when the police arrived?
When I pulled up, there was 2 police cars. I noticed her mother's van there, also her other sister's vehicle there. I noticed Mrs. Dutcher and Miss Wilson exiting Beth's house, yelling and screaming, shouting profanities, so forth, in front of all her neighbors. My nephews were present. They're 2 and 6, confused.
So that my question to you is you did not see anybody kick in the door?
No.
How did you push in the door?
She unlocked the door with a key. She had a child's riding vehicle jammed between the wall and the door so that we couldn't push it all the way open. And a part of the door did break. It wasn't the lock on the door, but it was the part in the door jamb. The latch.
The cops told me they allowed her to break in because if you lock yourself out, you're allowed to break in.
Oh, just a minute.
Yeah,
Wait. I mean, I told you that's hearsay, but you're telling me now that the police told her she was allowed to break in to get her stuff? Is that what you just said to me?
The police allow you to break in if you lock yourself out.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Yeah. So
you're allowed to break in, but it's a rental property. You're still responsible for it.
Just a second.
You're still responsible for the door.
Me?
What are you talking about? You're still responsible for the door. If you break your own property, it's a rental property. You still have to pay for it.
Let me tell you something, my dear.
Then the landlord would sue us.
Let me tell you something, my dear. It could all have been avoided if when your sister left, you let her take her clothing, the baby's clothing, the baby's toys, and said this didn't work out. What you said to her was, you're not getting the stuff until I get the rent. That's what you said. That's what you said in your answer.
No, I know that.
So? And so you caused the problem yourself. You cannot withhold her property.
I didn't make her lock. She had a key.
Grow up. Your case is just, listen to me. You're getting your stuff back 5 days from today. Your counterclaim is dismissed. That's all.
Restaurant owner David Rice is suing 18-year-old James Welkowitz and his former friend, 18-year-old James Winnie, for damaging his restaurant's sign when they were driving drunk.
Welkowitz, raise your hand. Winnie, raise your hand. Which one of you was driving the car?
I was, Your Honor.
Which one was the passenger in the car?
I was, Your Honor.
Which one was drunk?
Both of us.
Raise your hand. Mr. Rice, you are the owner of a Wendy's.
Yes, I am.
These 2 idiots came through your drive-thru.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Wilkowitz driving the car?
I believe so, yes.
And Mr. Winnie, passenger in the car.
Yes.
One of them wanted free food.
Yes, ma'am.
Raise your hand if you wanted free food. Raise your hand! And when they were told they couldn't get free food, they drove off
Sped off, yes, Your Honor.
and damaged some of your property.
Hit a light
Sign
pole and
and a
ran
pole.
over a sign. Yes, ma'am.
And you want them to pay for the damage.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see the damage, please?
Yes. I have pictures also, Your Honor.
I'd like to see the pictures. I'd like to see the estimates.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
There you go, Bert, thank you. And I have police reports also.
We'll see. Date of the incident, please.
October 21st, 2004.
October 21st. That's my birthday.
Happy birthday. My brother's birthday also.
Now, you gentlemen were not celebrating my birthday, were you? What were you celebrating on October 21st?
We were celebrating. We were just having a night out, just drinking.
And whose car were you driving, Mr. Wilkowitz?
I was driving his car.
And how did you get the keys to his car, Mr. Wilkowitz?
He gave them to me, asked me to drive because he was too drunk. He was swerving all over the road because we just got back from Taco Bell.
How old are you?
I'm 18.
What do you do?
I do construction.
Did you graduate from high school?
Yes, Your Honor.
When?
June 04.
And you?
I didn't graduate, Your Honor.
How old
I
are you?
graduate this year.
How old are you?
18.
Are you on a 5-year plan of high school?
No.
A 6-year plan?
I started school late.
You think you're going to get smarter by being drunk?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Rice has had about $1,200 worth of damage to his property. Who's going to pay for it? I don't see those hands going up.
Hey, Your Honor, can I say something, though?
No. That's wiping your nose, sir. I don't see the hands going up. Who's
I just
gonna
wanted to
pay?
bring up that he did break my nose. We got out the car, I pulled over, he broke my nose, I had to go to the hospital.
He broke your nose. That before or after you damaged Mr.
After.
Shh. Was that before or after you damaged Mr. Rice's property?
After I damaged his property.
Why would I care about that? I'm going to say it again. You were driving.
Yes, Your Honor.
It was your car.
Yes, Your Honor.
Raise your hand and tell me who's going to pay for Mr. Rice's damaged pole and sign. Ugh.
Can I say something, Your Honor? The only reason why I hit the sign because he grabbed the wheel.
Why would I grab the own wheel in my car?
Why were you in the car with him when you were drunk?
He took my keys from my friend's mom.
Yes. That doesn't tell me how you got into the car, sir.
Because he was about to take off with my car.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's lying.
Oh. I can't anymore. I can't anymore. I mean, it's Dumb and Dumber. They were the standard for the script.
You read my mind.
Mr. Rice.
Yes, ma'am.
Sad but true. Youth of America. Judging for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,200. Bird. Just take him out.
Okay. Please excuse you may step out.
Thank you, Your Honor.
25-year-old bartender Ben Wilson is suing his ex-boyfriend, 22-year-old retail salesperson David Lavarius, for breaking an apartment lease. David says Ben became violent, so he moved out.
Mr. Wilson, you and Mr. Lavarius were in a relationship and decided to lease an apartment.
Yes.
Mr. Lavarius's name was not on the lease, only yours.
Yes.
According to you, you had an oral agreement that he would pay for half the rent.
And a sublet agreement, a written sublet agreement.
Good, which I will look at. And it is your claim that he moved out and that he should pay you for his half of the year's rent for the duration of the lease. Mr. Lavarius says you got into a fight, you called the police, it was clear you didn't want him there, so he doesn't have to pay a thing.
Right.
Where'd you get this sublet agreement?
That was from my landlord. David had had a bad renter history, and the landlord and I both wanted him to be legally responsible for the apartment. So she decided that the best way to go about doing that was to have him fill out a sublet agreement.
It's not binding. It doesn't contain all the terms and provisions of this document. When you want a legal document that withstands legal scrutiny, you're supposed to go to a lawyer, not a landlord. So you had, according to you, an arrangement with Mr. Lavarius that despite the fact that you were on the lease, that he was going to pay half the rent. Is that your agreement with him?
Yes.
Is that his agreement with you?
Yes.
Yes, that's good. And you moved into the apartment when, Mr. Lavarius?
End of July.
When did you move out?
Mid-August.
Did you pay any rent at all?
Yes.
No, he did not. His check said...
I'll get to you. Yes.
Yes, I did.
When?
So I started my job beginning of August. I paid him $200 first, and then the rest of the money that I paid him went toward his birthday party during the middle of the month.
That's not rent. Birthday party, not rent. Rent, birthday party. You paid him $200 according to you?
Yes.
Now, what happened August 20th?
August 20th, well, prior to that, we had gotten into a couple fights.
About?
Our scheduling wasn't right. He doesn't think, doesn't listen, so we had a little conflicts and disagreements, so it ended up physical.
On August 20th?
August 20th, I believe, the police were called twice.
When were they called for the first time, and who called them?
He called them both times.
Is that right, sir?
Yes, it is.
Why did you call the police?
David had shoved me into the fridge. I didn't want to push back because I'm a lot bigger than David. I didn't want to be in a position where I'm going to hurt David.
Big Nelly punk.
And he pushed me into the fridge, knocked over a bunch of stuff off the top of it. I ran outside and called the police. After I called the police, he ran outside after me saying, "You can't call them. I have warrants. I have warrants. I'll go to jail. Do you want me to go to jail?" That night, I had sent the police away, gotten them to leave. We went to sleep in separate rooms that night. Woke up the next morning, and it was the same scene. I had been shoved into the same refrigerator. I called the police again.
Listen to me, Miss Lavarius.
Yes.
I don't want you to say anything until I look in your direction and ask you a question. I did ask you questions, and you gave me answers before. Is that right?
Yes.
And when he interrupted, I told him not to interrupt again, right?
Right.
You understand what that means?
Yes.
Don't interrupt him until I look at you.
Okay.
In the evening, he shoved you again.
Yeah, it was actually the next afternoon. He shoved me again. I called the police again, and when the police came a second time, they said, "We have to press charges for this."
So?
And he ran away from the house because he had these warrants. He actually just got picked up on Sunday for these warrants.
You called the police, and it was your hope and expectation that the police would put him out so that you could have the peaceful enjoyment of your apartment. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
And you certainly don't want him to move back into your apartment, do you?
No, I don't. But I never would have gotten that apartment without having David's income. That was an apartment that I could not have afforded myself. I only got it because of the agreement that we had that he would pay rent.
He's not going to pay rent in a place where he can't live, sir. And you don't want him to live there. You feel threatened with him living there. That's why you called the police twice.
Threatened?
So, how long did you know Mr. Lavarius before you undertook this rent?
We met on June 9th. He didn't have anywhere to stay. He was
I didn't
kind of
ask for the
homeless.
whole story. I asked for a date.
We had known each other for 2 months.
What did he do for a living?
He had gotten, before August had started, he'd gotten a job at American Family Insurance.
In June?
In June, he was between jobs.
So he got a job when in July?
I believe it was the middle of July.
So for 4 weeks he was employed. Is that right?
Yes.
And you knew he had such bad credit that his name couldn't even go on a primary lease.
Right.
So that would give an intelligent person a clue that I wouldn't rent an apartment with this person that I know for 8 weeks, who's been unemployed for 4 weeks, who has a bad history of not paying rent. I wouldn't take an apartment with that person that I couldn't afford for myself.
He would.
Ugh.
Sorry.
And anyway, Mr. Wilson, you can't have it both ways. You have an apartment. Either he's your roommate and lives there or not. You don't want him there because you didn't like getting shoved around and you didn't like fighting. You called the police twice. They came. They accommodated you. He took off, and that's exactly what you want. So don't come to court to complain about it. You got what you wanted. You have your apartment all to yourself. Now you have to pay for it. That's all. Case is dismissed.
All these are excused. You may step out.
Computer analyst Julia Denton is suing her sister-in-law, student Patricia Clevenger, for the cost of a '96 Toyota RAV4. Julia says Patricia's husband totaled the vehicle.
Mrs. Denton, is this your brother?
Yes.
And this is your sister-in-law?
Yes.
according to your complaint, several years ago, your husband passed away.
Yes.
You say it was in 2001.
That's correct.
When he passed away, one of the things he had was an automobile that was in his name. You had a car, and you agreed to, at that time, let your brother and your sister-in-law use that car.
Correct.
Until the estate was settled, and with the understanding that when it was settled, you would sell them the car. Was that your agreement?
Well, we actually didn't make that agreement. When I loaned them the car to begin with, we didn't make that agreement. It took a long time for the estate to be settled. It wasn't settled until the end of May of 2004. As it got closer to that date, then we started talking about selling them the car. That was my intention, to either sell it to another party or sell it to them if they were still interested in buying it.
Once the estate was settled?
Right, because I was not able to sell any of the assets. He did not have a will, and I was the administrator of his estate. Right.
Okay. Now, you gave them the car to use from 2002, according to your complaint, until 2004. Now, my question to you is, in whose name was the car titled in 2004?
The title was in my late husband's name until after the accident.
Okay. Now, according to you, you insured the car up until May or June of 2004.
Correct.
And then sometime in May or June, you found out that you had started to insure the car.
I did insure the car. After,
when?
In May, after her mother told me that she was no longer carrying insurance on the car.
Okay, so you started to carry insurance on the car, even though you had no insurable interest in the car.
At that point, we felt like the car had been given to us. We had already tried to return the car several times. She said she had no use for the car.
Excuse me, Your Honor, that's a
Just
lie.
a minute, I'll get there. And at some point, about a month or so later, your husband had an accident with the car and it was totaled.
Yes.
And you got a check for how much?
$4,687.
Which you feel rightfully belongs to you.
Correct.
And you feel none of that belongs to her because it was your insurance policy.
Correct.
What do you think?
She gave us the car.
Stand up.
She gave us the car 3 years ago. We offered to give it back to her several times. She didn't want the car back. She had 2 cars and 1 driver.
Yes.
She had a Corvette.
Well, what did you say? I'm just curious. What did you say when you offered to give her the car back?
I said, here's the RAV back. You know, you can have it back. She said, no, keep it. Drive it. That's exactly her words. Keep it.
Now, why did you bring it over there?
Well, actually, I brought it over there to make sure that I wasn't encroaching upon her, to make sure that it was a gift, and if she wanted it back, she could have it back.
So you brought it back to her to see if you were encroaching?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Denton. When did you have the first conversation with regard to the estate settling and some papers that would necessarily have to be exchanged?
I found out that they had started to insure the car on June 17th. Up until that time, I carried full coverage insurance on the car.
You have any proof of that?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please. Put your hand down. Now, this car was a 1996 Toyota?
Yes.
It was insured until the 17th of June, 2004. Not May. It was insured until 17 June, 2004.
Okay.
Full coverage. So you are mistaken that the car was not insured after May. So whoever gave you the information was mistaken.
That would be their mother.
Well, I don't know who it was, but certainly you didn't verify that with her, right?
No, I did not.
Right.
What had happened was, Your Honor, because I had been paying the insurance the whole time, I would give the little cards to my mother, because she lives in the same town they do, to go and give to them, and I had given her the wrong card. And she looked at the date and told them that there must not be insurance on the car because it's expired. They got insurance without my knowledge.
I don't see how they could get insurance. They had no insurable interest in the car.
It was a gift.
You had no insurable interest in the car. That's a matter of law. The car is not in your name. It would be like you deciding that you like the look of Bird's car and saying, I'm going to take out insurance on his car just in case he has an accident. And if he has an accident, I can collect on his car. You have to have an insurable interest in the car. The car was not in your name. And it's not something that is worth family feuding over. Sir, you have to use common sense. If she gave you the car, then the common sense would be, I cannot transfer the title to you in this car until the estate is settled, and that may take several years. But I'm giving you the car. But while I may give you the car, I'm not going to give you the car and pay for your insurance, too, because that would be stupid. Put your hand down, troublemaker. Do you understand, sir? I'm ignoring your wife because she is not related to this lady, and you are.
Yes, ma'am.
So she doesn't care if she makes trouble, this one, but you should care if she makes trouble. If your sister was giving you the car as a gift, I would say to my brother, David, I want you to have this car. We can't do the paperwork on it right now. All you have to do is you take care of the maintenance, you take care of the insurance, you take care of all the expenses on the car, and at the appropriate time, I'll just transfer the title over to you. I would not say to him, I'm going to pay for all the expenses, including the insurance on the car.
She didn't pay for all the expenses.
The insurance! No, she's supposed to pay the expenses. I mean, something wrong with you? You look like a perfectly healthy man. Do you work? Are you employed?
Yes, yes, I am.
Then why should she pay for the expenses? You're driving. Listen to me. Listen what you did with your wife. You had the full use of a car for 2.5 years. You had it fixed when it needed to be fixed. You put gas and oil in the car. You did whatever you had to do. Somebody else paid for the insurance. Then, at the 11th hour, because your wife got some misinformation, you insured the car. You had not paid for the car. And you came into a windfall of almost $5,000 for something that wasn't yours. Listen to me, sir. Under your theory, if you had had the car in April, which you did, of 2004, and if you had had an accident and she was paying for the insurance at the time, who would have gotten the insurance money? I'm not asking, put your hand down.
She obviously would have gotten it.
Right. She would have gotten the money. Would you have sued her?
Her insurance would have also paid for
Ma'am, I wouldn't sue a family member.
Right, because you would have done the right thing. And the right thing is, you don't come away with a windfall of almost $5,000, which is outrageous. Outrageous.
We did have medical expenses after the wreck.
Whose fault is that? Hers?
No, but her insurance would have paid it if she was carrying insurance.
Whose fault is that? Hers?
We
if
used
you
the
had
check to pay
medical
for the
insurance,
medical
sir,
expenses.
nobody would have had to pay medical insurance for you. You would have had taken care of it with your medical coverage. And if you're a working person, I assume your wife is working. She looks like she's an able-bodied person. You should have medical insurance.
I'm a student.
She's a full-time student.
She's too old to be a full-time student if she has other responsibilities.
I am a full-time student.
Okay. You owe $4,687. Judgment for the plaintiff. No good deed goes unpunished, madam.
Thank you very much.
Why does that excuse me? Step out.
Truck driver Scott Grandy is suing his ex-girlfriend, bank representative Jennifer Green, for a loan to move. Jennifer says Scott forced her to take the money.
Mr. Grandy, you and Miss Green dated for a period of time, and you claim that while you were dating, you made a loan to her in the amount of $1,000.
That is correct.
And then Miss Green decided to reconcile with her husband. You want your money back.
That's correct.
Miss Green says that there was no way this was a loan, this was a gift, and there was never any agreement for her to repay you. So when did you start to date Miss Green, and was she married at the time or just separated from her husband?
At the time, I thought she was divorced, but I don't know if that's a fact.
Where did you meet her?
Well, I met her through mutual friends at the bank that she worked at.
Give me the month and year.
June 2003.
Tell me about this loan.
She wanted to borrow some money.
What did she need the money for?
To pay probably rent and bills. I didn't really go into much of what she needed to pay.
Did you give a check or cash?
Cash.
And what agreement did you make with regard to her repaying the money?
Well, we were dating at the time, so I just said, hey, Jen, you need the money, you need to pay some bills. Do what you have to do, just repay me back, when you can, pretty much. Because you're dating at the time, I'm not really thinking, you think you're going to have a relationship that may, it's probably going to go further or whatever, and I didn't really put a time limit on it.
Right.
Actually, Your Honor, we started dating roughly October 2004 after I was separated and going through my divorce. During our relationship, there had been a few instances where he'd been verbally abusive.
I'm not interested in his being verbally abusive.
Okay. When I had gone to his house to tell him, you know what, it's over, we're done, he pushed an envelope across the table at me, and I said, I don't want what you have to give me. We had a discussion, and then he opened the envelope. He handed me, or he put on the table this note here and $1,000 in cash.
Let me see the note. Go ahead.
And at that time, he handed me the $1,000, and it just sat on the table. I said, I don't want your money. Yes, I was a single mom. Yes, I was in the midst of a bad divorce, but I was not about to take charity or handouts. I never had in the past. He then proceeded to keep pushing the money at me, and then when I tried to leave, he restrained me. He would stand in front of the door. He would not let me leave. He was holding me. He kept shoving the money in my pocket. I kept taking it out and I put it on the table.
Bottom line, you walked out of the house and you got into your car?
I got into my car.
Shh, listen to me very carefully. And when you got into your car and you drove away, where was the money?
The money was on my person.
So despite the fact that we went over there to tell him that it's over and we don't take charity, you still left the house with the money?
Yes, that's true.
And you spent the money?
Correct, I did, to move.
You spent...
He was stalking me, Your Honor. I have a restraining order against him because of this.
You spent the money?
Correct. Your Honor, there's a lot that precedes the money that was gifted to me.
Show it to him. I'm not saying it wasn't a gift. I'm just saying that you weren't a very smart gal to take it. I'm not saying that he expected to be repaid. I don't think he expected to be repaid based upon what I've heard so far. I'm telling you that you're not a very smart girl. Because if you have somebody who's, according to you at least, has been verbally abusive, because that's what you tried to get into before, who stalked you, you have a restraining order against them, one of the things I would do is, if somebody feels like an idiot, a real schlemiel, because they've given you money, and you go back to your husband, which you did.
No, I did not.
Well, according to him, he came back from vacation, he found your husband at your house.
We have a child together, Your Honor.
Put your hand down. But you don't take the money, because that makes him feel like a bigger idiot. Now, I'll hear you.
Your Honor, I was in love with her. You know, I was helping her out.
I got it.
Okay.
There was no contract.
Right.
There was hurt feelings, because you felt like an idiot. You felt like a fool, like maybe she made a little bit of a fool out of you.
Well, when I caught her with her ex-husband, it was pretty much cut and dry.
Okay. Well, in any event.
But anyway.
Go ahead.
I do have evidence of the stop payment check. I do have a text message I'd like you to look at saying that she owes me the money.
Let me see it.
You just need to scroll down. Thank you.
Could you do that for me? You know I'm electronically challenged. Don't bother trying to cash that check. I stopped payment on it. You will get your money back. Leave me alone. Did you send them that?
Yes, I did. The day he came over to my house, my ex-husband was at my home, correct, with my daughter. Scott shows up out of the blue, like he did often. He started becoming verbally abusive with me. I told my husband, you stay in here with our daughter. He was being confrontational with me.
How much after he gave you the $1,000 did he show up at your house?
Maybe a week. I'm not sure of the exact time period.
So very, very shortly thereafter.
Correct.
And was it the same house that you had been in while you were dating?
Correct.
So I assume you still had the money?
Correct.
Why didn't you give it back to him? That's what he wanted.
He had gifted it to me.
No, that's not what I'm asking you, Miss Green. Put your hand down. Told me a moment ago that the reason that you spent the money was to move because you got a restraining order against him, but that's a lie.
No, that's true.
No, that's a lie. Because at the time he came to the house and found your husband there, and you gave him this check, because I read your answer, you gave him a check and you balled it up and you threw it at him, and then you stopped payment on it the next day, right? So you knew he wanted his money back, and you still had his money because you hadn't moved yet.
I was in the process of moving, Your Honor.
You had the money because you hadn't moved yet.
Correct.
I didn't see any moving boxes.
Just a sec. Listen to me.
Okay, sorry.
What I'm telling you is, you don't get off easy when you're a user. And I don't buy the fact that somebody forces you to take $1,000 or any money.
He was threatening me, Your Honor.
What?
He threatened me. He
No,
threatened my
listen, no,
ex-husband.
listen to me. He did not threaten you when he gave you the $1,000.
He was restraining me in his home.
You were in your car. Throw it out the window. Throw it out the window. And when he came to your house and he wanted his money, what you do is you say, here's your $1,000. Put your hand down.
Sorry.
Here's your $1,000. Don't bother me or my family anymore. You don't be a stupid taker. And take the $1,000 and say, now I'm going to get a restraining order that makes him feel like a fool. More of a fool than he already was. So you're not a nice person, amoral, but she doesn't owe you the money because it wasn't a loan, it was a gift. Grow up. It's a gift. Keep your money where it belongs. That's all. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
20-year-old student Kevin Doheny is suing commission consultant Donna Cephas and her son, 16-year-old Keith Cephas, for the cost of a cover for his Cobra Mustang. Kevin says Keith burned a hole into it when he flicked his cigarette.
Mr. Doheny, it is your claim that Mrs. Cephas's son, your first name?
Keith.
Keith, was smoking and was careless, burned a hole in your car cover, and I assume that that is the car cover in there.
Correct.
And it's a small hole, is that right?
A cigarette hole.
You want him to pay for a new car cover.
Absolutely.
And Mrs. Cephas says, first, it was an act of God, the wind blew the cigarette, and second, you can get a kit to patch it. So why buy a whole new car cover when all it is a patch?
Correct.
I know, I hate to do this, but I have to. Could I see it?
Yes.
How big is that car cover?
It's for a Ford Mustang Cobra. It covers the whole car.
Is that your
My
pet
pride
car?
and joy.
Could
Yes,
I
it is.
see that? I know somebody else who keeps their car covered. I could never understand that. You got to take it off and get into the car and then put it on. Understand? Had you just purchased this?
Yes, ma'am, I did. A month prior.
Can I see the bill, please? Okay. And he's a friend of yours, is that right?
Yeah, I tutored him in school.
Okay.
And I would help him out, work on his car and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's the $169.95.
Okay. Ta-da! Say something.
Tell me what happened. Okay. Well, what happened was I was standing outside. I just finished a cigarette and I went to go flick it. I flicked it like that way. His car was over here, and the wind took the cigarette like literally over my head and landed on the car cover. And then I seen it land on the car cover, so I flicked it off. And then I didn't realize it was going to make a burn hole in it. And then next day, while I was in school, he calls me and tells me that I burned a hole in his car cover.
So?
And he wanted me to buy him a new car cover.
So?
I told him that I had a patch kit and I would come look at the hole to see how bad it was.
He doesn't want it patched. He wants it the way it was before you flicked your cigarette. Do you have anything you want to say, Mrs. Cephas?
Well, yeah, I mean, I understand that, you know, he did burn the hole, but, I mean, it's not like he literally went up and burned the hole. I mean, he flicked the cigarette, you know, the wind
He was careless.
took it.
He was careless.
Yes.
He was careless.
Right, but I mean, he didn't purposely do it, but he did say, I will try to fix it. He's not avoiding his responsibility.
He can
He's
fix
saying,
it.
The patch, yeah, you can with those vinyl, the little vinyl kits, because we had patched other vinyl. We had a roof.
He doesn't want a patch.
I understand, but I really don't feel as though we should have to pay for a brand new one if it can be fixed. He didn't even try. He just out and out said, no, I want a brand new one. You could fix it. You could take it yourself. Well, I don't want a cover.
Well, you just bought yourself a cover. You just bought yourself a cover. Let's say you saved up for a very long time to buy yourself a very special leather coat. And some stranger negligently cut a hole in the coat. Small hole. You just spent $500 on this leather coat that you had been lusting over. And they said, gee, I'm so sorry. I was careless, and I'm so sorry. I'm going to get a patch kit. So you can patch it. You say, I don't want a patch kit. I just bought this brand new leather coat. Why should I patch it when it could split? It may not split today. It'll split tomorrow, or it'll split next month, or 6 months from now. It's perfectly good. Why would I want to accept something that's second rate. You got it?
Yes.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff, the amount of $169.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Ramona Clark is suing daycare provider Jennifer Morgan for damage to her home and an assault. Jennifer claims Ramona's husband sexually assaulted her 13-year-old cousin.
Yes, case number 300 on the calendar on the matter of Clark versus Morgan. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat.
Ms. Clark, it is your claim that the defendant came to your home. She came with other relatives of hers. She damaged your home and assaulted you. And this was all over an incident that involved your husband, who I see is not present today. Ms. Morgan says she was very angry with your husband because he had sexually abused a cousin of hers. And she did, in fact, come to the house, but she neither damaged the house nor did she assault you. How do you know each other?
My husband and her boyfriend are childhood friends.
When did this sexual assault allegedly take place, Miss Morgan?
In July of 2003.
Where did it allegedly take place?
At my house.
And what was Miss Clark's husband doing at your house?
He was originally at the bar with my ex. She came into the bar, took his keys from him because he was there. He called my house, didn't have anywhere to go, so my ex went and picked him up and let him come spend the night at our house because they were fighting.
And how old is this cousin of yours who was...
13.
Now, I gather that that case has been resolved. Is that right?
He's in jail for it now.
And he pled guilty to assault?
Sexual assault.
Sexual assault? Mm-hmm. How long is your husband incarcerated?
He's incarcerated for another year.
How long has he been incarcerated?
A year.
I don't know how that...
Do you have a different...
Yes.
Go ahead.
He took the plea bargain. They gave him, I forget how many years it was, but he has to stay in jail for 10 years because part of his plea bargain was to waive his right to all appeals and modifications.
And this happened July what?
I believe it was around the 26th.
So on the 26th, you were advised by your 13-year-old cousin that
Yes.
this assault had taken place?
Yes.
Who went over to the plaintiff's house?
Me, my sister, her husband, and my ex.
Why did you go over there?
Because we were mad.
That the way you respond?
No, we didn't go over there to do anything to her. In fact, when we arrived to the house, I am the one who knocked on the door, and I asked for her because I felt sorry for her. I really did. I mean, how can you tell somebody your husband just raped my 13-year-old cousin? She came to the door, and he came to the door. When he came to the door, he stepped outside. He was a nervous wreck. He was like this. He knew what we were there for. As soon as he steps outside, my sister's husband went after him. They fought on the sidewalk. She comes outside.
Just a second. That is a mistake. You understand that. That was the wrong thing to happen.
Right, I know that, but
Just
I
a
didn't
second.
do it. I didn't.
Miss
kick the door
Morgan,
in.
listen to me. What did you go there for?
To confront him for my 13-year-old cousin.
All right, Miss Clark, let me hear you. What happened when she arrived there?
When her and her family members arrived, they were beating down the door. My daughter here and my husband were on their way down the steps to find out what the heck was going on because it was throughout the neighborhood you could hear them screaming obscenities and everything. Just as Brandy went to open the door, it came open. I mean, they just piled in. In the process of Dion being behind Brandy, she got hurt the worst. They were dragging him out of the house and throwing him everywhere, beating and punching him. And when I came out the house, Jennifer came at me with a broken, rusty rake, and she threw it. She went and shoved it in my stomach, and I fell against steps. And Brandy went after her, and another girl went after her. And
You are amazing.
There was
You are
no
amazing.
way.
Miss
We were
Morgan, Miss
outnumbered.
Morgan, Miss Morgan, say nothing until it's your turn. Do you understand? Look at me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Go ahead.
We were just outnumbered. We just had to just go in the house. My other daughter called the police because it was horrible. It was like a rumble, tumble, everything. And they were.
You have any photographs of your house?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see them, please. Tell me about your injuries.
Well, I didn't really have too many injuries because I just fell into the steps, but my husband was really beat up.
Well, I'm not here to discuss your husband. And while I absolutely abhor what happened that day, and I'm not talking about the night before, I'm talking about that day and Miss Morgan and her family and friends coming to your house, which I think is wholly inappropriate. Uncross your hands. Your husband's injuries are your husband's injuries. My question to you, Miss Clark, is it is clear to me that Miss Morgan was not alone. This young lady was with her, according to her, as well as 2 other men. Why didn't you sue them?
I didn't even know who they were, and that lady right there wasn't present.
I wasn't present?
No, she wasn't present.
Okay. Step up. You were there?
Yeah.
Good. What's your name?
Sarah Weiser.
When you grow up, your top is going to fit your pants so that it all comes together. When you come to court, we don't do that. You're supposed to come to court looking like you're coming to court. You were there that day? Mm-hmm. Is not an answer.
Yes.
That's better. What did you go there for?
To confront her husband.
Why? That's what the police are for.
Because he raped our 13-year-old cousin.
That's what the police are for.
And we called the police.
Before you went over or after? It's not an answer.
Same time.
What do you mean the same time? What does that mean, the same time?
We called her mother. Her mother called the police while we were in pursuit to her house.
What do you do for a living? I'm speaking. What do you do for a living?
Home daycare.
You do what?
Daycare.
For children?
Yes. I have 4 children.
How old are you?
28.
28, 4 children. Do your 4 children all have the same father?
No.
How many different fathers do your 4 children have?
2.
Do any of them live with you?
Any of my children's fathers?
Yes.
Yes.
Which ones?
The one that came to her house.
I thought you said he was your ex.
He is my ex, but we still live together.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You had no right to terrorize her, and you had no right to terrorize her daughter.
They were not touched.
I said terrorize, you idiot!
And later today,
the dog was not outside. Immediately I said to my son, we need to go to the dog shelter. A woman walked out and she said, I am so sorry to tell you this, but at the same time that you walked in, we were euthanizing your animal.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ramona Clark says family acquaintance Jennifer Morgan owes for damage to her home and for an assault. Jennifer says Ramona's husband sexually assaulted her 13-year-old cousin.
Let me explain something to you, Miss Morgan. You had absolutely no right, either with or without Miss Bad Midriff over here, to go to her house that day with either alone or with anybody else. You had no right to terrorize her, and you had no right to terrorize her daughter.
They were not touched. They were not touched.
I said terrorize, you idiot!
This originally started as a criminal case. She filed charges against me. The state dropped them.
Let me tell you something, madam. The state where you reside may decide that whatever actions you did that day were motivated by female testosterone that was running in your blood and by the testosterone of the two idiot males that you were with. But in this country, we don't do what you did. Because according to what you told me when you started, this lady came to a bar where her husband was. He was drunk. She took the car keys away so that he wouldn't drive, so that he couldn't hurt himself or hurt somebody else. So she doesn't sound like she is a lunatic. It sounds like she was trying to do the responsible thing. Your ex, genius that he is, said, come and sleep in my house. So he brought him back to the house, and somebody wasn't minding the store at your house. Because if you have a drunk man staying in your house, it seems to me you watch him very, very carefully. You certainly don't respond to that kind of action, the kind of action that he committed, by going to his house and terrorizing his family. Idiot. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,500. That's all. Out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It's a shame that the vicious nature of some people can destroy the lives of others.
I hope it gave her a reason to really want to stick by her husband, who's in jail for 10 years.
There was no DNA evidence.
It was 1 in 500 quintillion that it was him.
It's crazy. All kind of stuff going through my head, wondering if the accusations are true.
It was up to us to bust it for what he did, and that's what we did.
And now the next case. Customer service rep Dolores Harris is suing her son's fiancée, 22-year-old retail manager Stacy Showers, for falsely accusing her of violating a no-contact order. Stacy is countersuing for harassment.
All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Now, this is case number 284 on the calendar in the matter of Harris versus Showers. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Miss Harris, Miss Showers is your son's fiancée.
Yes.
I assume this is your son.
Yes, it is.
I gather that you and your future daughter-in-law do not get along.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
that's not what this case is about. You claim that your future daughter-in-law had you falsely arrested.
Yes, ma'am.
As a result of which you spent a night in jail. and you want to be compensated for that.
Yes, ma'am.
And the defendant says that you violated a protective order and that you've made her life miserable over the past 6 months, harassed her. She is counterclaiming. I gather that in May of this year, you, according to you, were fed up with the way Miss Showers was treating your son, and you decided to confront her.
Yes, ma'am.
So you went to her place of business.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct? And where did she work?
She works for Martin's grocery store.
How long had she worked there?
I believe she's been there about a year now.
How large is the town where you live?
It's a very small town.
How many grocery stores are there in town?
2.
Which is the bigger one?
Martin's.
And what's the other one?
It's Food Lion.
So you went to her place of business in May, and according to you, you had words with her, and when she was attempting to walk away, you grabbed her by the arm because you weren't finished talking to her.
I didn't grab her, I touched her arm.
As a result of her going into the store in May, you filed a complaint with the police, and they issued a no-contact order. So far correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you went to court on that no-contact order in June.
Yes, ma'am.
June 29th, according to your complaint. And so you had been served with the no-contact order, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you decided on June 29th that you wanted to buy some flowers for a friend. Why? She's sick?
She just had surgery.
And you decided to go to the store where Miss Showers works to get the flowers. And according to your statement, you called first to see if she was there. She wasn't there, so you went there. Rather than going to the Food Lion to get your flowers, you went to her store to get your flowers. And while you were there, she came in.
Yes, ma'am.
Subsequently, she filed a violation of the protective order, or the no-contact order, saying you had no right to be in her place of business, causing a scene, calling her a name, doing whatever. You had no right to even be there. Based upon that violation of going to her store, you were arrested.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what you're complaining about, because you say that subsequently you pled guilty to an assault that happened in May, and she was given a permanent no-contact order?
12 months.
12 months. That you agree that she was entitled to, and you agreed to stay away from her and behave yourself for 12 months, and if after that 12-month period there is no contact, the case will be dismissed against you.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
And what you're complaining about is that you say she should not have had you arrested for going into the store after court on June 29th, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You have 1 minute to explain to me why it was necessary, right after you went to court on a charge of assault, which you subsequently pled guilty to, that you found it necessary to go to her place of business, a place of business where she was employed for a year. Explain it to me, Ms. Harris.
When the warrant was issued, I was never
Don't tell me
instructed-
warrant.
Okay.
Just tell me why the day that you went to court on a charge of assault, an assault that you pled guilty to, you found it necessary to go to the store where she worked for anything.
Well, Your Honor, I have here where I had been in that store several times previous, and there was no problems.
I'm not talking about previous. I'm talking about the day you went to court for assaulting her. I mean, you weren't going there to get penicillin. You explained to me why you found it imperative to go to that store on that day.
Because, Your Honor, we live in a small town. The store where Stacy works is the only store that is open that time of morning. I called, as I did on these other occasions.
Just a second. Let me stop you right there. What time in the morning did you go over?
It was about 10 o'clock, 10:15.
Really? What time had you gone to court that day?
It was 10.
So you're telling me 15 minutes after you left court, you went to the store?
I went directly after.
Immediately after?
Yes, ma'am.
You left court?
Yes, ma'am.
You decided to go to the store where she works?
No, actually, I had...
That's what you just told me. You told me you went to court at 10, and at that time in the morning...
Yes, ma'am.
At that time in the morning, there's no other store open, and you needed flowers, so immediately from the courthouse, you went to the store where she worked?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
You got a problem, Miss Harris. You got a problem with me. There are other places you could have gone to get something for your sick friend, and if you couldn't get flowers anywhere else, and if you didn't want to go pick them yourself, buy her a box of candy. but you don't go to the same venue where you had previously assaulted the defendant, because you pled guilty to that assault, to buy your sick friend flowers. That's outrageous. And then suing her for having you falsely arrested. She had every right to have you arrested. And she didn't even have you arrested on that day. She waited, but evidently other things happened between that date in June and the date she ultimately complained about the conduct, because you clearly are not satisfied and not happy with your son's choice of mates. And finally she said, I've had enough, I'm going to complain about it. You have no case, and I suggest you start behaving yourself. Now let me get to your counterclaim. Let me hear it.
Mrs. Harris over here, she's, ever since the incident in May, she's done nothing but try to torment me, try to get us kicked out.
Get to specifics.
Okay, I have here where she sent Mr. Jeffries here at voicemail saying that if I came to my apartment, that she would make our life hell, and Steve can verify.
Was it your voicemail?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
Step up. What did your mother say on the voicemail?
Basically, if she came back to the apartment where she was staying.
She was staying with you?
Yes, she was at the time.
No,
of the
she was
incident.
not.
Shh.
That she would, quote, stomp her and watch my mom go to jail.
Well, whose apartment was it?
It's my apartment. She lives upstairs.
Okay, and you don't live together now?
Not now, no.
Did you then?
Yes, we did.
How come
No,
you don't
you did
anymore?
not.
Excuse me?
How come you don't anymore?
Because she called the landlord and explained everything that was going on. The landlord told me if Miss Showers didn't drop the warrant, that we both had to leave.
Didn't drop what warrant? The no contact
Well, yes,
warrant
I'm
on
sorry.
your mother?
No contact, yes.
How long has it been since you haven't gotten along with your mother?
Probably May.
What happened in May?
I backed into Miss Showers' car. She took my truck to work.
Yes?
And that started the May incident of her coming into her place of work.
Why? What is your mother's business that she took your truck?
It's not, Your Honor.
Is that what happened?
Well, Your Honor, there's been a history of 2 years of problems between Stacy and my son, where Stephen has come and talked to me about Stacy running around on him, leaving the apartment for 2 days and disappearing. I was brought into their business.
By your son? No, your son was
by my
confiding.
son, yes.
Your son was confiding in you.
Right, yes.
That he was troubled.
Yes, yes.
And?
Stephen at one point expressed to me that they were in an apartment together. He was wanting to put Stacy out but couldn't afford the apartment on his own. I live in a very inexpensive place to live, asked me to try to get him a place in my building. Apartment came available. I went to Stephen and asked if he wanted that apartment because he knew the relationship was shaky.
Fine. You asked him if he wanted the apartment. And he was living with her at the time.
Right.
Go ahead.
After they moved in, that
so
was...
the two of them moved... Just a second.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
the two of them moved in together?
Yes, ma'am. In October, where it brought to where I was seeing with my own 2 eyes of Stacy's actions. The truck incident was basically the icing on the cake. Stephen did put Stacy out right after Christmas of last year.
Talk to me about the truck incident. He says that she had permission to take his truck. He didn't care that she took the truck.
That is correct.
So what was it your business?
Well, because Stephen was having to take off time from work for her to go, and Stephen had owed me money. She works a mile from where they were staying. My viewpoint was, you can't afford to be taking off time from work. You owe me this money.
So why didn't you have a discussion with him instead of her?
I did.
And you got no satisfaction?
He said that he was going to take care of it. Stephen has a habit.
So then what prompted you to go to her place of business?
To basically let her know that she might be fooling him, but she wasn't fooling me.
Miss Harris, you better get your priorities in order, and you better get your position and your son's life straight. What he does with his fiancée is none of your business. And if he chooses to confide in you as a parent, he's not asking you to do anything. He's just asking you to be a sounding board and to give him advice. He's not asking you to be a mediator. He's not asking you to get in between he and his fiancée. It's a very bad place to be, Miss Harris. Listen, she's bothering you. She's annoying you. That's not something that you come to court and you're compensated for. Do you understand?
Right.
But you have absolutely no case against her. None. Your case is dismissed.
Why does that excuse you may step out?
She has a very bad reputation in town.
She's just so hateful. She'll say anything.
I've seen her with other men. She's had men down in my son's apartment.
I mean, as far as being with anybody, I can count the people I've been with on one hand more than probably
you know, I could say for her.
I guess nobody's ever going to be good enough.
Not to be blunt, but everybody in town has had her, so no, I don't think she is.
Actually, she's told Steve that if we ever got married, she wouldn't be there, and then if we ever had kids, she wouldn't nothing to do with them.
His relationship with her will be his. If he wants a relationship with me, then we'll have to have a separate relationship.
I guess she's upset that she lost her case. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's anger talking. I'm not sure.
And now the next case. 20-year-old delivery truck driver Michael Johnson is suing 20-year-old landscaper Jim Cummings for sucker punching him at a party. Jim says Michael hit him first.
Order. All rise. This is case number 340 on the calendar, the matter of Johnson versus Cummings. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, folks.
Mr. Johnson, you were an uninvited guest at the defendant's birthday party. Is that right?
Not entirely, Your Honor.
Who invited you to his birthday party?
There was a group of friends that were meeting up there that night, approximately 5, including one of my witnesses, Eric Sullivan.
Who invited you?
I was told...
it's not an answer, sir. Let me refresh your recollection as to what you said in your complaint. On August 27th, 2004, my friends and I heard about a party. So my question to you is, who invited you?
Like I said, there was a group of friends that were meeting up there that night. I was told to come by.
So the answer is nobody invited you?
Correct.
Good. And it is your claim that when you got there, you'll tell me what happened, but that the defendant, whose birthday was being celebrated that evening at his home, right?
Correct.
Hit you, and you were injured. Mr. Cummings says you were, in fact, an uninvited guest at his party. He told you to leave. You hit him first, and he hit you back, right?
Correct.
How old were you?
20 years old, ma'am, on that day.
And who do you live with?
My parents.
You live in a house?
Yes, ma'am.
How big a house?
4-bedroom.
Where were your parents?
My parents were vacationing.
Got it? Had you discussed having a party at the house before they went on vacation?
Yes, ma'am.
And how many people did they say that you should have at your party?
They said 20 people was fine.
How many people showed up at your party?
20 to 25 people.
So you were 5 over quota.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Johnson, tell me what time you got to the party.
It's approximately 11:30.
Where had you been before?
My house.
With whom?
I was a designated driver for my friend Erica and Renee. She came by my house, picked me up, then we picked up Erica and went up to Nashua.
What happened when you got there?
We got there, we ran into a few of our friends. There's approximately 5 out of 30 to 40 some odd people that were actually there. I had asked my friend Corey if he knew who lived there. He didn't know. On my way up from the basement where I thought I heard some people that I knew. I did not. Came upstairs, someone had approached me, said, "Do you know, is Cummings down there?" And I said, "Sorry, I don't know who Cummings is." He laughed and walked away. Now, next thing I knew, I was surrounded by approximately 5 people, 5, 6 people. One of them had said, "Do you know who Cummings is?" I said, "No, I don't." And then he said, "Why don't you try and guess?" So, not knowing who he was, I said, "I don't know, you?" And they all started laughing. Now, the only one who wasn't laughing was the defendant, and he came up to me.
Because his name is?
Jim Cummings. He then approached me, gave me an open-handed slap in the face, and said, "You and your friends get the F out of my house." I then turned to my friend Erica. I said, "Well, seeing as how I was just slapped, I think it's time to leave." A couple people had stopped me, asked me what happened. I said, "I just got slapped in the face by the person who lives here, and I'm leaving." And then the defendant came back out and said, "All right, it's getting too loud. Everybody needs to get back inside the house." And he was looking at me when he said this. I said, "Well, I think I'm going to leave anyway."
Good idea.
I thought so. So I was walking to the car. It was parked inside of a cul-de-sac. We were walking to the car, and there was a girl there crying. She's like, "Oh, this is garbage. I'm so sick of this. I want to get out of here." And I said, "Hey, somebody else who hates this party."
Is that this young lady here?
Yes, it is.
What were you crying about?
That there were so many people there and it was getting outrageous.
Because why?
Because everybody was a little intoxicated. There really wasn't that many people there. It was like...
I asked you a question. I didn't ask you for a whole tale. I said, why were you crying?
Because there were too many people there and it was getting outrageous and the neighbors were coming over complaining. And
good, now you can sit down. Okay, so?
So as I was walking to the car and I said that to her, next thing I know, out of right field, he comes up running from behind me. That's my effing girlfriend. He swings me around and punches me in the face at the same time.
Mr. Cummings, Is that what happened, sir?
No, ma'am.
Why don't you tell me your version of what happened, Mr. Cummings? Were you drunk that evening?
I was slightly intoxicated as well as everybody else that was at the party, including him.
Well, I don't know. Just a second. I don't know whether he was intoxicated at all, sir. But I do know that if you were celebrating your 20th birthday, you were intoxicated.
Yes, ma'am.
And is this your girlfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Mr. Cummings, I want you to understand something. The reason your girlfriend was crying wasn't because there were too many people at the party. That's a fib, she just told me. I believe she was crying. But she was crying because something happened there at the party, because she's not so responsible that she's out there crying because there are too many people and the neighbors are coming over. Somebody told you to be quiet. That's not why she's crying. Either you said something to her or something happened there that upset her. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, good. How old are you?
17.
17, because I know 17-year-olds. They don't get upset because there are too many people at a party. They get upset because maybe their boyfriend says something that they don't like. Maybe you were flirting with somebody else. Maybe you said something that wasn't nice to her. All of those things are possibilities, not because the party was too loud. That wouldn't cause her to cry. So now let's get back to, you tell me your version of what happened to Mr. Johnson.
He was being loud and obnoxious all night, and the neighbor from next door, she has small children, and I respect that, and she came over and asked me to quiet the party down, which I then asked a couple of my friends to go around and say, hey, calm down, and I did too. And I asked the defendant to calm down and his friends.
Where was he when you asked him to calm down?
He was inside the dining room drinking Bacardi-O. He came to my house with a half a bottle of Bacardi-O, which I assume the other half was consumed when he was at his house.
Go ahead.
I asked him then to leave. He got up, and then we were walking outside. Words were exchanged. He was swearing at me, saying, F you, why am I leaving this party? He was very upset because he had to leave and other people weren't leaving. I told him because my neighbor, asked me to calm down, and he was the only one that seemed to not calm down, was him.
So you're telling me, sir, that the story that Mr. Johnson just told me about going outside and seeing your girlfriend crying, that wasn't true. Is that what you're telling me?
No, he may have went outside.
Go ahead.
He may have went outside and seen my girlfriend crying, but that's not true, no.
Mr. Cummings, is what you're telling me that Mr. Johnson was not telling me the truth when he said he was outside of your home already before you hit him, and that's when he saw your girlfriend crying?
I don't know if it was at that same time, Your Honor. She was crying all night.
Michael Johnson claims he was punched in the face by Jim Cummings. Jim says Michael crashed his birthday party.
Why was she crying all night, Mr. Cummings?
Because she was upset with me.
Why?
Because we had broke up during the night. It's alcohol and booze and drama. That's what it is. It's a teenage party, It's a teenage party. That's how it is.
Listen to me, Mr. Cummings. I'm aware of that, sir.
Okay.
That's why I said she wasn't telling me the truth when she gave me the reason that she was crying. Right?
Correct.
And that's why you're not telling me the truth, sir, about when this altercation took place with Mr. Johnson, because it took place outside.
Correct.
Not inside.
I was not done my story, Your Honor.
Then get to it, Mr. Cummings.
At that point, I asked him to leave. We went outside. He was exchanging words with me and swearing at me, and he went outside.
Just a second. If you asked him to leave,
okay,
and he went outside, why were you going outside?
Because I was making sure that he was leaving, because he seemed to be the most obnoxious person there, Your Honor.
Not quite.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Keep going.
We went outside, and at that point, he then pushed me, and I pushed him back. And then he swung at me and hit me, and I counterpunched him in the face, and then he was gone, and that was it, and I didn't hear anything until this.
Who else was outside with you, Mr. Johnson?
I was, Your Honor.
Step up. Name?
Erica Galvin.
What happened outside, Miss Galvin?
Outside, we were going to leave, and we were everybody kept on stopping to ask us what happened. So it was kind of a delayed departure, but we did end up making it halfway to the car when Michael saw, apparently, his girlfriend and said, hey, somebody else who doesn't like this party. And that's when he came from behind him, grabbed him on the shoulder, and then punched him in the face as he was turning him around.
Sounds right.
And then that's when me, Eric, and a few other people tried to break it up, and 6 of his friends came flocking over and said, "Stay out of this is not your fight." And we just kept on saying, "We just want to leave." And I'd like to include that there was about 40 people there, and most of them were outside. And it was a kegger, so people were paying to get in. That doesn't necessarily mean that there has to be a definite invitation.
There has to be a definite invitation if you don't want trouble, right?
If you don't want trouble.
If you don't want trouble. And when you have a kegger, you don't have 17-year-olds at the party, because if you have 17-year-olds at the party and serving alcohol, you're breaking the law. You're aware of that, Mr. Cummings, aren't you?
Yes.
Perfect. Can I see your medical bill, please?
Yes, there are
Thank
a few
you.
of them here.
Anything else you want to say to me?
I was not drinking at the party. I had not drank.
Is what you stand up?
Yes, I was
stand
not
up. I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you a question.
Okay. Sorry, Your Honor. I was not
drinking. I didn't ask you whether you were drinking or not. I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Is your statement that you weren't drinking as truthful as your statement moments ago that the reason you were crying is that there were too many people at the party?
Well,
I want you to think about my question. You have to process my question.
I was not drinking. My parents, we live in the same neighborhood, me and Jim.
So just answer my question. So were you lying to me before when you said to me that the reason you were crying is because there were too many people? No. He says that the reason you were crying is because he had broken up with you.
I was upset that we broke up, but I live up the street, so if there was a loud party, my parents would come down and see me there, and I
Sit
was
down.
not...
Sit down. Sit down.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
I mean, like I said...
I don't know, because you're not saying anything. You just
I don't know. I understand how she justifies that she's asked for the entertainment center when the only thing she's ever wanted was the bed.
Women change their minds.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michael Johnson claims he was punched in the face by Jim Cummings. Jim says Michael crashed his birthday party.
Go ahead.
After approximately 5 days of not being able to chew solid foods, I was on the slim fast and pudding diet. That is accurate.
He's a big guy.
Yeah, I have a friend a foot taller than him that wouldn't take him.
He's a big guy and he was drunk. That's why he was so nasty to his girlfriend. She forgave him. You forgave him, right? Huh?
Yes.
Stupid! Listen, Mr. Cummings, I don't believe you, sir. I believe that this young man came to your house. He was not invited to your birthday party by you.
I apologize, Your Honor. I just wanted to...
Perfect!
I just wanted...
Perfect! Apology is accepted.
Thank you.
This young man came to your house. He was uninvited by you. But it was a party, and that's what happens when teenagers and young people hear about a party around. You know, they hear the words, party, parents gone, on vacation, let's go have a good time. Came to your house, and there was absolutely no reason for you to hit him, except that you'd had a little too much to drink, and you have to pay for that. He's suing you for his medical bills, and not much for pain and suffering, almost $1,800.
Only $500 just for the pain and suffering.
I would have sued him for a lot more. He's got to be taught a lesson. Can't put your hands on somebody. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount requested, $1,779. That's all. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He was just wasted, just yelling and being obnoxious, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we were there for all of about 10 minutes. You know, I was driving my friend's car. I wasn't drinking a thing.
He just put his hands up at my girl, and I just punched him in the face.
I can't even understand why you got so mad about it. I said, hey, somebody else who hates this party, rock on.
Moral of the story is, don't mess with the wrong people.
Gotta get a tooth yanked. Looking forward to some more pain.
And now the next case. 27-year-old babysitter Jenny Zanquist is suing her former friend, 26-year-old baker Erica Perez, for unpaid babysitting fees. Erica says the state denied her financial aid. She is countersuing for harassment.
Come to order, all rise. Yes, case number 329 on the calendar in the matter of Zanquist versus Perez. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Ms. Zanquist, Ms. Perez and you were friends at one time. Yes. And you agreed to babysit for her children while she was working.
Yes.
According to you, the arrangement was you were going to get paid And then you would fill out some paperwork because she was entitled to child care from the state.
Mhm.
And then you would accept the money that she got from the state for babysitting. Was that your agreement?
No, we had agreement, and when I first began babysitting, that when she receives her income tax, she will pay me. So I will watch them for $45 a day for 3 days a week, and that she will pay me when she gets her money from income tax.
When did you start to babysit for her?
In the month of December of last year.
And how many children do you have?
3, ma'am.
What kind of work were you doing in December of 2003?
I'm working at Dunkin' Donuts still. Same job I've been working at for 3 years.
So you were working for Dunkin' Donuts.
Mm-hmm.
And how much were you earning there?
$7.10 an hour, ma'am.
You get paid every week or every 2 weeks?
Weekly.
How much is your net check every week?
Like $140.
Do you get any public assistance for the children in addition to the $140?
Yes, I receive food stamps from the state.
What other money do you get?
That's child support for my son.
How much do you get in child support?
$93, ma'am.
A what?
A week.
How old are your children?
My oldest is 11, my middle one is 7, and my smallest one is 2.
Okay. And what do you do for a living, Miss A?
I'm a student.
Full-time student? Were you a full-time?
No, part-time. Of course, I didn't register for school because I was depending on the income I was supposedly earning from watching the kids.
Is what you're telling me that you don't do anything right now? It's not an answer.
Put it like that. I do have a disability, so I don't do too much, but I am focusing on school.
When you start, you'll focus. Right now, you're not focusing.
When I start and I don't have to worry about trying to find a job, right?
Miss Sanquist, how long had you and Miss Perez been friends?
We've been friends on and off for 10 years.
Is she telling me the truth when she says she works at Dunkin' Donuts?
Yes, she is telling you the truth.
And she, I believe, is telling me the truth when she says she earns $7 an hour.
Yes.
And that her take-home pay is $140 a week.
Yes.
And how many days a week were you supposed to watch her children?
3 days a week. That's
Just
when
a
she
second.
works.
3 days a week. So you expected her to pay you $135 a week.
Yes, I did.
Which means she would go to work for Dunkin' Donuts for $5 a week.
If I can...
No, just a second. I'm doing the math. The math is simple. She comes home with $140 a week, and she was supposed to pay you $135 a week for taking care of her children. That's the math.
That's the math. Can I comment?
Sure.
Erica's working, like she said, 3 years there, part-time. She works there because it's mandatory from the state in order for her to get medical and food stamps benefits. She doesn't have expenses. She doesn't pay rent. Her father owns the house she lives in. She doesn't have any bills. We had an agreement, and she has the funds to pay for it. She has boyfriends that have money that support her, too. She has the money to make the agreement, and that's what happened.
Miss Sanquist, Ms. Perez says that she was going to apply to the state, which does provide child care expenses for people who have low income, and that you did, in fact, fill out the paperwork.
Yes.
When did you fill out the paperwork?
We started the process around April or May.
When?
Your Honor, we started in July. I got papers.
July of what year?
Of 2004.
Well, she was babysitting for you from December until July.
Jessica's been babysitting my son, Your Honor, not all 3 kids. My son only since May of 2004.
Really?
Yes. I would never agree on paying a babysitter $135 a week when I only make a little chunk change.
Sounds
was
ridiculous.
never an agreement. No
Sounds
agreement.
ridiculous. Can I see the paperwork that you started to fill out?
And it's not my signature either. She forged my signature in it too, Your Honor. That's when it started, Your Honor.
Did you fill out these papers?
Yes.
Okay.
Could I say another thing, Your Honor?
Shh. Which child do you receive support for?
Cyrus, my son.
And Emily?
Emily and Melanie, I don't receive nothing for.
Well, they told you that in order for you to receive money, you have to at least apply for child support from the father of the other 2 children. Otherwise, they're not going to give you money through this program, Care for Kids.
He's in jail for murder.
Is that Emily's father?
No, that's Melanie's dad.
That's Melanie's father. What about Emily's father?
Emily's dad, child support is looking for him right now. He got issues in court.
And a warrant for
and
his
he
arrest.
got a warrant out for his arrest
For
through
domestic
child
violence.
support.
Okay.
How you know?
Okay.
I know.
How much money, if any, Miss Perez, did you receive from Care for Kids.
I don't receive no money from Care for Kids, ma'am.
Did you ever receive any
None.
money?
It goes under her name. The check comes under Jessica's name.
How much money, if any, did you receive from them?
Zero. Nothing.
Zero. Well, why?
Can I comment?
Yeah, sure.
I didn't receive anything from Care for Kids because every time we applied, we were denied. Well, every time she applied, she was denied because of lack of information that she was supposed to provide, because of missing deadlines. They have deadlines. You miss it, they deny you. She was adamant about saying no, that we didn't start in January, February, March. In April and May, in the process of Care for Kids, we did start. The person I spoke to at 5/11/04 at 11:40 a.m. was Ingrid, and I have a list of names of people that I've been in contact with from this company.
All I have here, listen to me, all I have here is notification from the state that the application was received on July 9th, 2004. I don't have anything else. Listen to me. Do you have any proof that an application was submitted before that?
No, but I requested information and they said they wouldn't give it to me, they would give it to her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She fought my sister in front of all the kids.
So you had a fight with her sister over somebody's ex-boyfriend, a story that, believe me, at this hour, I am totally disinterested in.
And later today,
While I may give you the car, I'm not going to give you the car and pay for your insurance, too, because that would be stupid.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jenny Zenquist says former friend Erica Perez owes for babysitting fees. Erica says Jenny incorrectly filled out the application for state aid.
Listen to me, madam. I do not believe you that you had an agreement with her to pay you $135 a week when all she earns is $140 a week. That just doesn't make sense. Nobody in their right mind is going to work for $5 a week and pay you $135 a week. What makes sense is that the two of you agreed that you would apply for this program and you would get the money from this program. She would turn it over to you and she would work. And the papers weren't filled out right, and then you had a fight. You had a fight because you had a fight over somebody's ex-boyfriend. I don't know whose ex-boyfriend. Whose was it?
Your Honor, she fought my sister in front of all the kids.
So you had a fight with her sister, and therefore all bets were off. That's what she says, that you had a fight with her sister over somebody's ex-boyfriend, a story that, believe me, at this hour, I am totally disinterested in. I am totally disinterested in the story of the fight that you had with her sister. As far as I'm concerned, when two ladies... What are you looking at me? It's such a ridiculous look on your face. I'm disinterested when ladies fight with each other. I think it's very unseemly. The only thing that I have to determine is whether I believe she made an arrangement to pay you her entire salary check. And I don't believe she did, so your case is dismissed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Jessica's man now used to go out with my sister 5 years ago, so she got a grudge against my sister.
As far as the fight being over my boyfriend, it wasn't even about that.
She got him now. She's so insecure. She should be happy she got him now, though.
The guy has my name, Jessica, tattooed on his neck.
They make a perfect team together, both of them.
Show me the money.
She got what she deserves. She's crazy. She's crazy. Everybody in Bridgeport knows she's crazy. She's crazy.
And now the next case. And her husband, Marcus, are suing dog groomer Don Loeb Jr. for vet bills and lost wages. Catherine says her miniature schnauzer was mistreated while in Don's care.
Yes, this is case number 323 on the calendar, the matter of Williams versus Grooming Dales. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mrs. Williams, you took your dog into the defendant's grooming establishment, and it is your claim that he abused you, he abused your dog, you had to take the dog someplace else to be finished, and you're suing him for several $100s. Miss Williams, what kind of a dog do you have?
A miniature schnauzer.
How long have you had the dog?
She's probably about 1.5 years old.
How many times have you had her groomed?
I had always groomed her myself. This was the first time she's ever been done professionally.
Okay, and why did you decide to have her done professionally this time?
She had been bitten by a brown recluse, and we...
What's a brown recluse?
A spider. She had a spider bite on her neck. Once we got her all well from the spider bite, we had decided that we wanted to take her to get a special treatment, just for her pain and suffering, for her own kind of thing, to make her feel pretty for a change.
Dogs don't know when they don't look pretty.
Well, we did.
They don't know if they're not pretty.
Well, their little pink bows and their polished nails.
They don't care about polished nails. Anyway, where do you live?
In Spring Hill, Tennessee.
So how did you find Mr. Loeb's grooming salon?
I had gotten a paper in the mail.
Okay, from one of these freebies that you get in the mail.
Yes.
Good. You called him and said you wanted to bring the dog in immediately.
Well, I told him that I saw his paper, and I explained to him that I would only be down in Columbia for a short period of time. Would it be possible to get her in and out of the time that I wanted?
So he said, fine, bring the dog in?
Well, first he told me that it wasn't possible for the hours that I needed to get done. Told him, okay, thanks for the call. He had a cute article in the paper, and I wished him well with his business. After that, he was like, well, let me think about this and see how we can do it. I can probably even schedule you an appointment so he could get the business. So I was grateful for the opportunity. He was willing to work with me, so I was certainly willing to take the dog for the drive.
So you had a 3-hour window, according to what I read in your paper?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you say to Mr. Logue when you got there?
I told him that we would be back at about 12:30 to pick her up. He took down my phone number, and when we left, he called my cell phone to confirm that this was the dog that he had to have out within the 3 hours. Told him that, yes, that was her. He said, great, he'd see me about 12:30. So when I came back at actually about 12:45, I just asked him if the dog was ready. He was outside having ice cream, so I assumed that she was ready. And he said no, that he had washed the dogs in the morning, and they were still drying. And I told him, I said, you are aware of the time? And he said, can you give me another 20 minutes? I said, sure, I can do another 20 minutes, but understand that's cutting it very close. So he said, okay, fine. I left for about 20 minutes, and I came back, and he came out behind the partition and asked me, how did I want her cut? Told her she was a miniature schnauzer we had discussed in the morning. I wanted a miniature schnauzer cut. I told him, I said, you are aware that we are already behind and that I don't have much time left, and when it comes time that I have to go, I have to go. He said he's aware of that. He's doing the best that he could do. He was behind the partition. I could hear him back there. I mean, he was being very rude to my dog.
How was he being rude to your dog?
He was, I mean, the way he was, it was like, stop it, stop it. And whenever I got there in the morning, I explained, he asked me what kind of a temperament she had. I told him that I had always groomed her, and I put a muzzle on her myself, that I would recommend and suggest that he do the same thing. When I got there, he told me that my dog did not behave. And I asked him, I said, what dog do you know that hops up on the table and says, please give me a haircut? I mean, I expected her to not have a good time with the clippers against her.
Miss Williams, I thought you told me a moment ago that you were taking this dog in as a special treat for her.
Yes.
Because she had a spider bite, so you wanted to give her a special treat.
Right.
Well, dogs are used to having you groom her, so you take her to a stranger, and you just said to me, what dog do you know that likes to have a clippers taken to? So this wasn't a special treat for the dog, this was a special treat for you.
I guess, so to see her look pretty.
Well, I'm just telling you, it's a special treat for you. Okay, so let's move on. So when I was talking rudely to the dog, go ahead.
Well, he was obviously irritated with me outside when I asked him, since he was outside eating ice cream, I assumed my dog was done. That's when the obvious irritation with him started. When we were inside, I would tell him, you know, this is how long it's been, how much longer is it going to be? A few more minutes, a few more minutes.
Is that the way you was talking to him? You said, how much longer is it going to be, just that way?
Yes, I was not, at this point, I wasn't rude or upset.
And he said just a few more minutes?
Yes.
Just a few more minutes. Okay, so?
So I waited a few more minutes, and it still wasn't done.
Okay.
And then when it came down to that very last moment where I knew that even if I caught a long red light, I was going to be late. So I just told him, I said, whether she's done or not, I have to take her with me now.
Okay.
So he put her down, and he gave her to me, and she was a mess. I mean, she just looked like she had not had a bath. She had puffs of hair on her where there was not other puffs of hair. She was just a mess.
Okay, she wasn't finished. So
Yes.
what's next?
I offered to pay half the bill. I mean, he did half the work. And he said, no, just take your dog and get out of here. And don't ever come back.
Okay.
I mean, he was very rude to me.
Okay, so he told you to take your dog and go and don't come back.
Right. As we were leaving out of the store with the dog, he came running out behind us, hollering obscenities behind us. I took the dog, went straight to my car to lock the door because I did not feel safe. I mean, for him to chase me out of the store. When we got in the car, I realized that my dog's eye was swollen. And then when I got home, both of them were swollen shut. So I called my husband and I explained to him the incident that happened at the store, the fact that the dog was hurt, and we had decided that she had to go to the vet. He called himself to talk to the groomer to find out what happened.
Well, what conversation did you have with him, Mr. Williams?
Well, I called him and I tried to talk to him. I said, hey, what's going on? What happened with the dog? Well, this guy here, he was really rude. He was loud. He was yelling at me on the phone, and I called to inquire about any services that he had done for the dog.
What were you calling to inquire about?
To find out what happened, why she didn't get groomed, why my wife was upset.
Just a second. What does he care why your wife is upset? I don't understand why you called him. Now, if you said to me, I called him because the dog's eyes were shut and I didn't know what happened, If that's the first thing you said to me, Mr. Williams, then I would say, well, that's legitimate. If you take a dog in, and even if it's not groomed the way you like it, and you take the dog half groomed and you leave, so he didn't charge you. He just said, take the dog. You're nutty. I don't want to deal with you or your dog anymore. There's no reason to call him. But if you're calling to inquire as to the eyes, that would have been the first thing you told me.
Right.
But that wasn't the first thing you told me.
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Well, she was upset. She called me.
Who cares if she's upset? He doesn't care if your wife's upset. Only you care.
Right. So I wanted to figure out what had happened to make her upset and what happened with the dog.
Who cares?
She said that she was in pain, that she was not feeling well, that it didn't go well. She had a bad experience.
Who, she or the dog?
My wife did.
Not the dog. Listen to me. Get over it. How old are you?
30.
Get over it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't know whether she was mad at me, got in the car, slapped the dog across the head.
No, Mr. Lowe, didn't happen.
And later today,
Listen to me very carefully. It doesn't belong to you. It's not your desk.
Who says it's her desk?
I do.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Catherine Williams and her husband Marcus claim dog groomer Don Logue Jr. abused their miniature schnauzer. Don says Catherine was a nightmare customer.
Okay, have a vet bill for me to look at and a diagnosis of the eyes?
I do.
Jeez.
I have pictures of the dog as well.
Did you put some sort of cream in the dog's eyes for grooming?
No, ma'am.
What did you use to wash the dog?
We use a cream rinse shampoo, conditioner. The head area is washed with a baby shampoo. It's a tearless, non-toxic shampoo.
Well, evidently this dog did not react well to your tearless shampoo.
I don't know what happened after she left the facility. I don't know whether she was mad at me, got in the car, slapped the dog across the head.
No,
I don't know.
Mr. Logue, listen to me very carefully, sir. That's not what happened. How much after you took the dog out of the grooming salon, Miss Williams, did you take the dog to the vet?
I got her in that day. It was the first opening they had was like 4:45.
Okay, let me tell you, before we get on with this, I'm not interested if Mrs. Williams didn't have a good experience at your grooming salon.
Yes, ma'am.
And if her husband is interested in whether or not she was upset and wasn't feeling well, that's his problem. My problem is with the dog. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand?
Yes.
You're a big girl. You're 30 years old. You had a bad experience with a merchant? You don't go back there.
Right. I would have understood that if my dog hadn't been hurt. I would have just never gone back. It would have not been an issue any further.
Well, but my problem is your husband. When your husband called him, your husband didn't call him and say to him, you hurt my dog.
Well, I did.
No, the first thing you
The first thing I told you that, but I did talk to him about that.
Listen to me. Listen to me.
Okay.
Stop poking him. He can speak for himself. Move over. Put your hand down. The first thing you said you discussed with him was your wife's emotional state.
Right.
And I'm telling you, that's not his business.
Right. But we did discuss the dog because I picked her out when she was a baby. That's my baby there. That was the first dog I ever
Then that
had.
would have been the first thing I would have talked about, not my wife not
When
being
she
happy.
called me to see what's up, I had to see both sides of the story. I just can't sit and take her side. I want to know what happened. So when I called him to see what happened, he gave me his side of the story. And after he hung up with me, he called me back to complain to my manager for me calling and complaining about the services that were done on my dog. I thought that was ridiculous. If I get a hamburger at Wendy's, it's not done right, and I go back and complain, they don't call me back and say, well, we're complaining because your hamburger was wrong. I mean, you don't do that.
Mr. Williams, explain something to you, sir. Your wife called you very upset, which made you upset. So you called him upset. He says, well, I would have to deal with this. I dealt with this lady. She wanted fast service. I gave her fast service, fast lousy service, Mr. Logue, but fast service. I didn't charge her for taking care of her dog. I didn't take such good care of her dog, which is a good reason not to charge her for taking care of the dog. You got the wrong groomer. There's no reason to call him. None. Just make yourself feel better. In any event, you did a bad job, Mr. Logue. I'm a pet lover.
Me too.
And I've been to good groomers, and I've been to groomers that take shears and cut a little too close in very sensitive places, which is what the vet said happened here. I've seen what that can do to a dog. The dog clearly had an adverse reaction to whatever shampoo you were using. Miss Williams, the dog wasn't going to react well to a groomer because she had been used to being groomed by you. That doesn't mean Mr. Logue did a good job. He did not. He was not careful enough with this dog. I'll hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
Because this vet doesn't have any axe to grind, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Go.
Ma'am, I groom dozens of miniature schnauzers.
So?
The underside of the dog, around the abdomen area, it's shaved the same way every time. I didn't see any clipper burn on the dog at all. There was no clipper burn when he left here.
Let me tell you something, sir. I credit what the vet says in the vet's report. The vet says that both eyes were inflamed, excessive tearing. It says no ulcerations were found in the corneas. So this is clearly just an irritation from whatever you used on the dog, whatever shampoo that you used. Maybe the dog was allergic to the shampoo that you used. That's possible, but that happened. There was also a clipper burn present around her vulva.
Yes, ma'am.
That comes from you.
I don't know whether Ms. Williams took her home. She said she's groomed this dog before. I don't know whether she took the clippers to him or what.
Didn't happen. Didn't happen. It happened at your establishment. She didn't take the dog home and look at the dog that's eyes are closed shut, clearly in distress, and decide to shave her. That doesn't make common sense. The only thing Miss Williams has is tends to go on a little bit, you know, tends to be a little verbal, but she's not crazy. You are responsible for her vet bills. Not necessarily to re-groom the dog. I assume you're going to be smart and continue to groom the dog yourself from now on, because at 1.5 years old, it's very hard to retrain a dog to go to a groomer. Should have done that when the dog was a puppy. Then what?
The dog was very uncooperative.
Of course.
It was very hard to groom, and she stood outside in my foyer with her 5-year-old kicking my wall, and the dog went even more nuts. I tried to get this dog groomed.
Then what you should have done, sir, is taken the dog and said, I can't groom your dog.
When she called me a D word, and I don't mean Dallas, I gave her the dog.
Oh, I believe that she cursed at you. You did, right?
I did.
She brought a friend with her.
I mean, I know you did, because that sounds really sweet, but I know that you cursed at him.
I did. After I became irritated, I did.
Well, did he curse at you first?
No, he didn't use a curse word.
No.
He was rude to me first.
He was rude to you. He was rude to your dog. Get over it. You're 30 years old.
I understand
But you
that.
cursed at him because you were very fast to tell me that he came out after you, cursing at you.
Yes.
Right? But you didn't tell me I cursed at him.
I did say one curse word.
What?
Ma'am, it's 5 years as a police officer. I don't chase people outdoors attempting to assault people. I'm a former
I can
officer.
imagine she irritated you, sir. You have to take care of her vet bills. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $70. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She had a 5-year-old child with her, and the child was kicking the walls, disturbing the dog.
My 3-year-old was playing in the lobby while we were waiting longer than we were supposed to get my dog back.
It was just a wild situation.
I think that it was an unfortunate situation.
I don't know what she did with the dog or to the dog or how much time went by after she left my facility.
I did not hurt my dog myself. My dog left his shop hurt.
That dog was fine when that dog left my facility.
He just didn't handle it the right way.
If I see her face coming toward my door again, I'm gonna lock it.
And now the next case. Student Barbara Evans Cunningham is suing her ex-husband, store manager Bruce Evans, for his share of a Honda Accord purchased for their son. Bruce claims he never promised to pay for the vehicle.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 292 on the calendar, the matter of Evans Cunningham versus Evans. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Cunningham, Mr. Evans was your husband.
Yes,
And you
ma'am.
have one child?
Yes, ma'am.
A boy who is in high school now.
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that a couple of years ago, the two of you agreed that if your son got straight A's or good grades, that when he was a senior in high school, the two of you would chip in to buy a car.
Yes, ma'am.
You purchased a car for your son, and the defendant did not contribute half the money for the car.
That is correct, ma'am.
Unfortunately, the car that you purchased for your son blew an engine within a relatively short period of time, and you were forced to go out and buy another car for him.
Yes, ma'am.
You're not asking Mr. Evans to pay for that second car, but you want him to pay his half of the first car, which no longer exists. Is that right? That's what you're suing for?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Evans says that you didn't consult him about the car, and he's not paying.
That's correct.
Okay. So, how long have you been divorced?
We've been divorced, ma'am, almost 10 to 11 years. I've known Mr. Evans since I was 16 years old.
Okay. Now, when did you purchase this car for your son? The first one?
The first car, ma'am, was 19 July of this year from my neighbor.
What kind of car was it?
It was a 1990 Honda Accord, ma'am, 4-door sedan.
And how much did you pay for the car?
The car cost $1,770.
When did you discuss this purchase with your husband?
Beginning the month of May 2004.
What did you say to him, and what did he say to you?
He stated, that's good, does the body look good on the car, does the car run well? And I stated yes, that my neighbor showed me where he maintained the maintenance on the car periodically. He stated that that's fine, go ahead with the purchase.
Is that right?
No.
Well, tell me what happened when she called you.
She called me and told me that her neighbor was selling a car for $1,500. She said that he was moving or something and that she could get the car. I told her, well, what kind of car is it? Because I haven't seen the car. Can I come check the car out or look at the car? She said that she know her neighbor pretty well because he lives right next door, and that he takes good care of his cars, and that she figured that it was good because she know him and she didn't think that he would sell her anything that wasn't
in good shape.
Right.
And what did you say to her?
I told her that, okay, then let me look at the car. You know,
well,
so,
you should listen to me, Mr. Evans. Let's not dance around with each other, sir.
Okay.
If things make sense, they make sense. It makes sense that she told you about this car and you said, well, I'd like to take a look at it.
Correct.
That makes sense. And she said, well, I don't think, according to you, I don't think I have to take a look at it. This is my neighbor. I know him very well. I know that he's taken good care of the car. I've seen the records on the car. And then you have to say something else. Either you say to her, well, I still want to take a look at it and I'll call and make an appointment, or you say to her, fine. Now, which is it?
I told her I still wanted to look at the car. I told her, I asked her when was the guy moving and when it was the last day that she was going to actually get the car. She didn't actually purchase the car from the guy until the day before he left.
So why didn't you go over there and take a look at it?
He did, ma'am.
Shh.
No,
Just a second. He did?
Yes, ma'am.
When did he go over there, Miss Cunningham?
Ma'am, he did a drive-by of the car in June.
When you say a drive-by?
The car is parked in front of the neighbor's yard, and I shared with him, it was on a Sunday evening, he was picking up our son. I stated that the car is parked in the front yard of my neighbor. When you pick Kelvin up, you could pass by and see the car. He acknowledged that the car was showroom clean, based on the outside of the body.
I never met the neighbor, so I don't...
Just a second. You don't have to meet the neighbor, Mr. Evans.
Well, I'm saying as far as going to his yard and stuff.
Mr. Evans,
yes,
did you ask for the neighbor's name?
No, because...
Just a second. Is there any reason why you didn't ask for the neighbor's name?
Because I asked her to set it up so we could go by and look at it together.
What's wrong with you? She's already looked at the car. If you want to look at the car, Mr. Evans, you have to be proactive.
Asking her to set it up with a neighbor that she already knows is proactive. I just can't go to this man's house and just
No, it isn't. Listen to me. Baloney. Listen, Mr. Evans. Baloney. I'm sympathetic with you to this. When I read your answer to this extent, you said, well, she bought this car, she didn't ask for my input, and if she bought the car without asking for my input, I'm not paying for half. That's what you said in your answer, right?
That is correct.
And I'm telling you that I was sympathetic with that answer, because I think that it's wrong for someone, if in fact it's true, for Miss Cunningham to say, listen, we agreed 2 years ago we were going to buy my son a car. I saw my neighbor's car, I liked the car. I went and bought the car, and then I presented my ex-husband with half the bill. And my ex-husband said to me, I'm not paying for half the bill on this car that you picked out yourself because I didn't have any input. That's what you're saying, and I was sympathetic. But that's not what happened, Mr. Evans. No.
Judge, I never saw the car.
That's your fault. That's your fault. You have two eyes, you have a mouth, you have a finger that can do the walking through the yellow pages and the white pages. I am speaking, sir. Now, certain things make sense, and I've been in this business a long time. What kind of work do you do, sir?
Manage a payday loan store.
And if somebody doesn't give you the money, what do you do?
We try calling them and getting them to come in and
Now, when you try calling them, let's say, put your papers down. Let's say you have their address.
Yes, ma'am.
And you don't have a telephone number.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you do?
Mail them a letter.
Did you ever think of calling information to get a telephone number? Have you ever done that, Mr. Evans? You know exactly where I'm going, sir. You
Yes,
get
ma'am.
information, you try to get it from information. You take out a phone book, you turn to the white pages and see in the white pages whether there's an address that corresponds with that, or you can do both and mail them a letter.
Yes, ma'am.
What I'm saying to you, Mr. Evans, you are a smart man. You're a businessman. If you wanted to take a look at this car, inside and out, all you had to do was be a little proactive.
She never gave me the person's name.
No, she doesn't have to give you. Listen to me. You ask. You did not ask.
Judge, I asked Barbara to let me come by and look at the car.
He had a key. Shh. Don't ask Barbara. Barbara has taken care of your son for the last 11 years.
Barbara and I have taken care of our son for the last 11 years.
No.
Let's get it straight.
Barbara and I have taken care of our son.
1, 2. You know what?
Barbara
you know
has
what
not taken care of our son by herself. I have always been there for my child,
Just
and
a second.
I don't want her to be in court saying that.
I'm speaking. Don't speak over me. Ever.
Yes, ma'am.
Who has primary physical custody of your son?
Kelvin is with Barbara because Kelvin...
Don't tell me because. Who has primary...
I do.
You do. Let me see the papers that give you primary physical custody.
I don't have them with me.
Okay.
When
Now,
we got a divorce, Judge...
Barbara, turn around.
When we got a divorce years ago, I had primary custody of our son. I had him for the 9 months he was in school. She had him for the summer months. That's in the divorce decree. Okay, after Kelvin stayed with me for the first 4 years, then with Barbara kept calling and complaining and crying to him, saying how much this and how much that, he asked me, he said, Daddy, can I go stay with my mom's son? I said, okay, son, I don't have a problem with that. If that's what you want to do, I'll let you do that. I moved so I can be close to him. Barbara got transferred again to Colorado. I moved out to Colorado so I can still be close to my son. She got transferred to St. Louis. I moved to St. Louis so I can still be close to my one and only son, so I could be there for him to help raise him. So with her coming up in here saying that I have not helped and I have not been there for my son, that is downright ridiculous.
So then I'm asking you, sir, if you did all this moving from one city to another city to another city, with all that entails for moving, so for the last 6 years, he's been living with his mother. You've moved. So for the last 6 years, full-time, she's been the full-time custodial parent, and you've moved so that you could accommodate her work. Whatever that was, you've moved because you thought it was in your child's best interest. You moved, you've changed, you've gotten an apartment, you've turned on gas, electric, telephone, you've moved, you've transferred registrations on cars, and you're telling me that you couldn't find out the name of the neighbor who lives next door so you could go and look at the car? Mr. Evans, I don't buy it.
Judge, if she had allowed me the opportunity to do that before she moved ahead, then that's what would have happened. But she did not allow me the opportunity.
Oh, stop
that's
it.
just like after the car...
Stop crying.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
The cops told me they allowed her to break in because if you lock yourself out, you're allowed to break in.
Police told her she was allowed to break in to get her stuff? Is that what you just said to me?
The police allow you to break in if you lock yourself out.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Barbara Evans Cunningham says ex-husband Bruce Evans owes for his share of a Honda Accord purchased for their son. Bruce says Barbara didn't consult him first.
Now, I find first that you did in fact agree to pay for half the car. That she in good faith called you and said to you before she purchased the car, I have the ability to purchase this car that I think is a good deal. You said to her, is it a good car? I'd like to come and take a look at it. You're leaving it up to her. And she's a working gal too, I gather, because you say that you moved to accommodate her career, which means that she probably earns more than you do. So that she's a busy girl. So instead of you making the appointment with the neighbor, because I'm sure this is a perfectly nice person that she purchased the car from, and you're not a bad man. I mean, you're not an ex-convict, are you?
No.
Good. So the neighbor wouldn't suggest, I don't want him near me or near my house or near my children or near my family. You're just a nice man. You're a nice man who's got a child who needs a car, a teenager. And you say, listen, I want to come and take the car out because I understand that my ex-wife wants to buy it. That's a very simple thing. Very simple. You chose not to do that. You chose to say, you make the arrangements. And when she didn't make the arrangements, she said to you, give me the $850. You said no. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $850. That's it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Bruce has been very downright evil to me. He has always manipulated the system. He has never held a full-time job in his whole life.
My ex-wife is just disgruntled. That's all it is.
I have no reason to be disgruntled and upset because I have a very wonderful life. And my life got better after I got rid of him.
For her to get in court and say that I'm not there to take care of my son or not help with my son, it's just downright ridiculous.
I'm gonna applaud and scream with hallelujah when you're out of all of your money. You're nothing but a freeloader.
So Barbara just got some evil ways about her, I guess, and that's all it is.
Don't have babies for men that don't take care of their responsibilities.
And now the next case. 15-year-old Chris Casimir and his mother Cheryl are suing 18-year-old Austin Randolph for assaulting Chris when he knocked him out cold. Austin says he heard rumors Chris was bad-mouthing him.
Your Honor, this is case number 383 on the calendar in the matter of Casimir versus Randolph. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated, folks. Have a seat.
Miss Casimir, this is your son?
Yes.
You weren't there this day when this unfortunate incident took place. Your son was there with his girlfriend?
Yes.
His girlfriend here?
Yes. Samantha.
Could you sit down, please? I may ask for you later. Are you Samantha's mom?
I'm her guardian. I'm her grandmother.
Okay, good. Why don't you step up here, Samantha? Chris, it is your claim that Mr. Randolph here assaulted you.
Yeah.
Out of the blue, for nothing. And you want him to pay for your medical bills and your pain and suffering. Mr. Randolph says that you were going to assault him, so he merely hit you first, and you fell down. He doesn't think that he assaulted you that badly, but that right after that, your girlfriend, that would be Samantha over here, took out a knife and stabbed him in his heart, and he almost died.
Oh, my God.
Shh. Right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. On what date did this happen, Chris?
It was June 22nd.
At what time?
8 o'clock.
At night?
Yeah.
And you and Samantha had been out for the day, is that right?
Yeah, me and Samantha and my friend Ryan.
You were standing waiting for a train, and you said you saw Mr. Randolph with several other people.
Yes.
Who were you with, Mr. Randolph?
I was with...
Look at my eyes. I want you to keep your eyes on my eyes.
I was with 4 other members of my football team.
So there were 5 of you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you were also waiting for a train?
Yes, Your Honor.
How old are you?
18.
How old are you?
15.
How old are you?
16.
Ever been arrested, Chris?
No.
You? Other than for this incident?
No.
Never?
Never.
What about you, Mr. Randolph? Ever been arrested?
Yes, Your Honor, I have.
You want to tell me when the last time was that you were arrested?
I'd say it would have to be about a year ago.
For what? Make sure.
It was for,
get it right.
It was for an assault charge, and they had dropped the charges, found out that it was provoked by 2 other people.
An assault charge. And when prior to that incident a year ago were you arrested?
I was arrested about 6 months before that for an auto theft charge. My friend had broken into a car.
That was also somebody else's fault?
It was my fault for sitting in the car.
So that was 6 months before. Now let's go back immediately prior to that, sir.
I was also arrested for the same thing.
Also, a mistake. You keep having the same mistakes. It's almost like Groundhog's Day. I'm just setting the stage, sir, because I've read your answer. Your answer is that they're really lucky because they almost killed me in this unprovoked attack. So you're standing waiting for the train. And what happens, Chris?
A couple of my friends came up because the train was running really late. And then Austin and Kent came up to me.
Did you know him from before?
No.
Did you know the person that he was with?
No.
What happened when Mr. Randolph came up to you, Chris?
Can I, be straight with it?
Yeah. I want you to be straight with it.
He said, came up to me and said, my friend says you're talking. And I'm just like, well, I wasn't. And he just asked the same thing again. And so I'm looking at Samantha and my friend's just like, what's going on? And that's when he hit me, and I wasn't looking at him or anything.
Where did he hit you?
The side of my face.
And what happened when he hit you? You fell?
Yes.
What did you do when he fell?
I screamed, and I was looking in my purse for keys or something to defend him with.
Did Mr. Randolph back off after he hit him?
No, he lunged forward like he was going to kick him while he was on the ground. And
so you got scared?
Yes, I got scared, and that's when I stabbed him. I just nicked him
apparently it was only a 1-inch wound.
Tell me your version, sir.
Your Honor, I was downtown with my friends and my friend Demetrius, who I met up with later on. He did not come down there with me, but he was down there already with one of his friends. My friend, the kid that I just met, who I know now, is not my friend because this kid obviously wasn't talking about me.
Which kid wasn't talking about you? This young
Chris
man.
Obviously wasn't talking about me.
Right.
That I see now. But the kid that I had just met had came up to me and told me that he was talking about me, saying, you know, he heard about I got beat up, he could beat me up, all this and this.
This young man was talking about how he could beat you up.
Yes, that's what I was told.
That's what you were told.
And I laughed.
And just a second. And this bothered you.
Yes.
Why would that bother you?
Because I was arrogant, and I felt like I had something to prove. Like I don't want to allow someone to think that they can beat me up. So
just a second, I want to tell you something.
Yes, ma'am.
Bird could beat you up. And I want to tell you something else, Mr. Randolph. Even I could beat you up. I fight really dirty. So you went over to him and you said to him what, sir?
I asked him, was he talking crap about me? And he said no, but he was more defensive about it. He was like, no, but what is it? You know, I mean, like, I don't have a problem. And he had...
He said no, but I won't want to have a problem.
Yeah, and then a couple of his friends started to come up and stand behind him. So my friends came over and stood behind me. He said, no, no, no. So I went to turn. I was like, all right, I don't want any problems. I've had problems in the past. I'm kind of just going to drop it. I went to turn. When I turned, he started to move his skateboard. I thought for sure that he was going to hit me with the skateboard when I turned. So I reacted. I only hit him once, and he hit the ground.
That's all it takes, sir. So after you hit him, what happened?
I fell to the ground, and she stabbed me, Samantha. She proceeded to run onto the light rail.
She stabbed you?
Yes.
That's what happens. Crap happens.
He hopped up immediately and ran after her on the light rail when he covered her body to protect her from about 6 or 7 other gentlemen that were pounding him in his head.
These other 6 or 7 gentlemen, who were they?
Some of them were friends with me, some of them I didn't even know.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I ask why a 15-year-old girl is not carrying a lip gloss at the ball, but she's carrying a steak knife in her purse.
I want to tell you something.
This is not a 1-inch gash.
I want to tell you something. I don't care if it's a 1-inch gash or a 6-inch gash. He's a big troublemaker. Put your hands down.
And later today.
He threatened me.
Listen to me. He did not threaten you when he gave you the $1,000.
He was restraining me in his home.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Chris Casimir says fellow student Austin Randolph assaulted him at a train station. Austin says during the fight, Chris's girlfriend stabbed him in the heart.
Now, aside from the fact that at age 18 you've developed quite a criminal history, you don't appear to be an unintelligent person. I mean, the fact that you're dumb doesn't necessarily make you unintelligent. You can speak. So, but for the fact that you went up to this young man and started up with him, would any of this have happened?
No, it would not have.
There you go. So whose fault is it that you got stabbed in the heart?
It's mine.
Perfect. I love it. And whose fault is it that he got pummeled to the ground?
Mine.
There we go. Can I see your medical bills, please? Now you got it. You have anything you want to say? He said it all right so far. He probably wasn't going to say it all right, but he probably realized I
Your Honor, I would like to say something. If I could,
sure.
Please. May I stand?
Sure. I'd like to hear you.
Yeah. You know, yes, my son has had a history. We all make mistakes. He's learning from them. And, you know, this has been taken to court with Samantha as well. May I ask why a 15-year-old girl is not carrying a lip gloss at the ball, but she's carrying a steak knife in her purse?
I want to tell you something.
This is not a 1-inch gash.
I want to tell you something. I don't care if it's a 1-inch gash or a 6-inch gash.
What you did to my son.
Listen to me. I don't care if it's a 1-inch gash or a 6-inch gash. This is what he did. To start with, Now, the fact that she had a weapon in her purse to defend him, to make sure that he didn't get hurt any worse, good for her. And I'm glad she didn't have a lip gloss.
Unbelievable.
I'm glad she didn't have a lip gloss, because I don't know what else your son and or his friends would have done to this young man and or this young woman. He's a big troublemaker. Put your hands down. He's a big troublemaker. This is what he did. For no reason, because he's a bully. And you should have gotten that word a long time ago, when he was 14, when the first time he was arrested. Idiot. That's why people walk around with weapons in their pocket, because of his behavior. In any event, at least your son is intelligent enough to know not to fall into my mouth. I don't know where he was going to start with today, but at least he finished in the right place. I suggest you get there, too. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
The judge hit it right on the head.
Gave me nosebleeds, and I had no equilibrium all summer.
I was having a lot of problems then, and I don't have problems anymore.
This kid definitely is a troublemaker.
She stabbed him in the heart. He had open heart surgery, you know, and she had taken from him.
They chipped her tooth, ripped her clothes. They were all beat up.
I was the captain of the wrestling team. I ran track. That's not possible anymore.
It's not the money, the principle of the thing, and I'm just glad that, you know, everybody saw him for what he is.
And now the next case. Nursing student Angela Nemechek is suing her biological daughter, 17-year-old Jessica Simons, and Jessica's adoptive sister, Kathy Brooks, for the money she spent when Jessica came to live with her. Jessica and Kathy are countersuing, claiming Angela stole Jessica's Social Security checks.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 449 on the calendar in the matter of Nemechek versus Brooks Simons. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Looks like a lot of witnesses here for a relatively simple case. Miss Nemechek?
Yes.
I assume that this is Jessica?
Yes.
According to your complaint, you are Jessica's birth mother.
Yes.
And Jessica was adopted by a family when she was 4 years old.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are her sister.
Yes.
Adoptive sister?
Yes.
And both of her adoptive parents passed away, unfortunately, from illness. For a period of time, she was staying with you.
Yes.
And then, Miss Nemechek, Jessica decided that she wanted to come and live with you.
Yes.
And she did for a short period of time.
Yes, Your Honor.
3 months, 4 months?
2.5 months.
That was
And during-
3.5 months.
3.5 months. And during that time, you purchased some clothing for her and had other expenses.
Yes, Your Honor.
Then there was a falling out.
Yes,
and
Your
she
Honor.
went back to her sister's home.
Correct.
She and her sister came and got all this stuff that you had purchased for Jessica.
Yes.
And you want to be compensated for that.
Yes.
You're Miss Brooks?
Yes.
You have a counterclaim on behalf of your sister because you have guardianship of her now.
Correct.
And that is for reimbursement from the Social Security checks.
Correct.
That was sent to Miss Nemechek, and you want that money back because you say that was hers to spend.
Correct.
Miss Nemechek, how old was Jessica when she was adopted?
4.
And did you have contact with her from age 4 to age 17?
Yes, I did.
When?
Periodically. Periodically. I've had phone calls with them. I've went and seen them. Me and their godmother, the one that adopted them, was really good friends. That's the reason why I let her adopt them, was because of my sickness that I do have, and currently still have.
Is that a physiological or a mental illness?
Physiological and mental.
Did you support your daughter over the years with money?
When I seen them at times, I did when I could financially afford it.
I'm talking about regular support.
No.
When your daughter came to live with you, I assume that either you weren't getting along with your sister, is that right?
Well, I just wanted to go live with my mom. I just wanted to get to know her. I wanted to have a mother-daughter relationship with her.
Did you approve of that?
At first, no, because of all the problems that we have had with Angela.
What kind of problems?
She would call their schools when my parents were alive, trying to get them out of school. Jessica and I are, we do fight a lot, and I think we do because you don't go from being a sister to trying to be a mother. And, you know, when someone is, 14 years old, our relationship changed because...
Were you married when your parents died?
Yes.
You have children?
I have 3 children.
And you took your sister to live with you?
I took both of my sisters to live with me.
And this was the older sister?
Yes.
Is that right? She take good care of you?
Yes. I love her. You know, she's my sister. I'm not gonna do this. When Jessica came to me and told me she wanted to know Angie, sorry.
Would it be better if I asked you questions?
No, I need to say this because it's important. I don't know what it's like not knowing your parents. So who was I to tell Jessica that she couldn't get to know her biological mother? Unfortunately, Angela, in the whole time since my parents have had Venus and Jessica and their older brother David, my parents adopted 3 of her children so they could stay together. She never could step up to the plate and act like an adult and knock on my door and say, hey, Kath, you know, I'm sorry your parents died. I really want to help. I really would like to get to know my daughter.
She would sneak around and see us, basically.
So it was very hard for me to let Jessica go, but I spoke with Jessica all the time. You know, she gets a death benefit from my parents. That's what she has left of my parents.
And what did you do with your death benefit, Jessica?
I signed the money over to my mother so she can put it in her bank. And she said she would save the money for me so I can buy a car.
Did you do that, Ms. Nemechek?
I did put that money in the bank. I put it in my savings account, and Jessica kept asking me for money, and I kept taking it out of my savings account and giving it to her. I do have proof of that.
Well, how much in the 3 months that she was there? You got 3 checks?
I got 2.
How much were they for?
$931 each.
One was $931, one was $731, and that was it.
How much did she get?
$931 each a month, and it was a total of $2,700 and some odd dollars that was giving to her from her death benefit.
Well, let's say, for argument's sake, it was about $2,000. When your daughter decided to go back, how much of the money that she turned over to you did you return to her or put in a savings account in her name?
She had none. She had taken that all out with withdrawals.
How could I?
Just a second.
Okay.
Let us assume that that's true. Who are you suing and for what?
The money that the 2 checks that she received, that Kathy had gave her, we gave her more money besides that.
You're her mother. Who's supposed to take care of?
I signed my rights over.
Then
I signed my rights over.
Then Ms. Nemechek,
she's getting a check, Miss Kathy Brooks.
I'm speaking.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It's not just about the money.
Well, if it's not just about the money, you're in the wrong place. Go to a psychiatrist. Because that's what I'm here for. I'm here about the money. Other than that, you can go find Dr. Phil someplace. He'll be more than happy to hear you.
And later today.
Which one of you was driving the car?
I was, Your Honor.
Which one was drunk?
Both of us.
Okay, Mr. Rice had about $1,200 worth of damage to his property. Who's going to pay for it? I don't see those hands going up.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Angela Nemechek is suing her biological daughter, Jessica Simons, and Jessica's adoptive sister, Kathy Brooks, for money she spent on Jessica's behalf. Angela says Jessica lived with her for 3 months when her adoptive parents died.
If you don't want to be her mother, then you say, I'm sorry you can't come to live with me. But when you buy her clothes, things that you should have been buying for her for 17 years, and she decides, I am speaking, and you give it to her, that is a gift. You don't get that back. You get to say, I'm sorry it didn't work out. I know I wasn't much of a parent to you when you were growing up. I know that you had lovely parents. Fortunately, I wasn't there for you. This little bit is my small bit, aside from the fact that you got a couple of $1,000s that you spent, because $100 here and $100 there over 3 months don't come out to $2,000.
I have all my proof.
I don't care what you have. What you don't have, clearly, is a conscience. You're supposed to do the right thing.
You have no idea what I went through in the past 17 years with
That's
these
not,
people.
listen to me. Whatever happened to you over 17 years, you visited on yourself, and you also visited on your children. Because whatever problems you had, you decided to have children. They didn't make that choice. You made that choice.
Yes, Your
So
Honor.
quite frankly, nobody is interested in what you went through over 17 years. That's your problem. You visited your problems on innocence. And when you do that, you don't get sympathy. And when you do that...
The reason why I gave up my kids is because I have leukemia. I was told I had 2 years to live.
Listen to me very carefully. If God blessed you and said, while you had 2 years to live, here you are, 15 years later, still alive and kicking, then what you do if your daughter comes back to you and you've given her a couple of $1,000s in clothes that you didn't take care of over her entire growing up years, and you decided to do it,
Your
and
Honor,
if it didn't
I did
work
buy
out...
her clothes in between those 17
Miss
years.
Nemechek, quite frankly, I find your behavior bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. If you suffer from an illness, and if you're giving me that as an excuse for giving up your children, despite the fact that years later you're still here, and if you had the unique opportunity of getting to know your children again, then you don't terminate that by suing them. That's stupid
I'm
and
not suing
amoral.
my daughter. I'm suing
All
the
right.
person that gave her supposedly gave her money that she never gave her.
That has nothing to do with you. It's not your money. It's not your money. It's
Exactly.
Bird's money. It's the citizens' money. It's not your money. Now, but for the fact, Miss Brooks, just a second.
Can I
Don't
have
move.
them walk up here?
No, I don't need them. I said there are an awful lot of witnesses here for a relatively simplistic case. There's nothing that I don't understand that I have to have
Well, there's a
made
lot
clear.
more to this case, Your Honor. It's not just about the money.
Well, if it's not just about the money, you're in the wrong place. Go to a psychiatrist. Because that's what I'm here for. I'm here about the money. That's what courts are for. Other than that, you can go find Dr. Phil someplace. He'll be more than happy to hear you. Now, shh, Ms. Brooks, but for the fact that Ms. Nemechek brought this action against you, would you have counterclaimed for the money that Jessica gave her?
Yes, we actually already hired an attorney to help us write up the complaint against Ms. Nemechek. I also have a letter from our bank stating that Jessica's death benefit did come out of her account.
Well, let me see the letter from the bank. How long do you receive the death benefits for, Jessica?
Till I'm 18 and out of school, high school.
Well, this letter indicates, Ms. Nemechek, that there were 3 checks, all in the amount of $931.
Well, all I have here is a deposit on August 9th for $731.
That doesn't mean that you didn't get $931.
And then I
that
have
means that
a deposit here
I'm
on
speaking.
September.
I'm speaking. Death benefits don't change by $200. So that means that you may have deposited $731 and taken $200 in cash.
I don't recall that, Your Honor.
Well, if you don't recall, that's why I have this from the bank. So 931 times 3 is $2,793. What'd you do with it?
Right here.
Oh, let me see it. Perfect. What's Sprint?
That's a cell phone bill.
$122?
Yes.
Get it. I don't know what this is. This is nothing. White Fox Den, $28. What's that for?
That's food.
Food?
Food.
Oh my God.
Walgreens. Sunglasses. 3 pairs of sunglasses. Shampoo. What's that for?
It's for Jessica.
Miss Nemechek, I think you're a bad lady.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Angela Nemechek is suing her biological daughter, Jessica Simons, and Jessica's adoptive sister, Kathy Brooks, for money she spent on Jessica's behalf. Angela says Jessica lived with her for 3 months when her adoptive parents died.
I think you're a bad lady. And I believe your daughter when she said you were going to take these checks and put them in an account for her, and the purpose of that account was that when she got to be old enough, she was going to be able to buy a car for herself. I believe you told her that, and I believe that you then went through your trash can and picked out receipts that you decided for your home, for you and your husband and whoever else lives there, that the government was going to be responsible for. If you supported your daughter yourself for 3 months and you've given her no other support her whole life, You ought to thank God that somebody took care of her for the 14 years that you didn't. Judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim in the amount of $2,793. Your claim is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I wouldn't let her have custody over me, and that's just a way of revenge for her, I guess. Suing her own daughter.
I have one daughter here. She's the one I'll help, because I know she never screws me like the other one did.
She was just doing everything behind everybody's back.
My son Scott, she came to his school and asked him to go and do drugs with her.
I'll see her in the next court on that one.
She does need professional help. Definitely, she does.
Maybe later on in life, if I'm not dead, then she can come around. But then again, my husband don't want her ever around.
I think it's ridiculous. I have nothing to do with her anymore.
And now the next case. Teacher's assistant Michelle Leyva is suing her ex-husband, airport maintenance man Larry Cordova, for breaking his promise to move with her to New Mexico. Michelle says, instead, Larry left her for another woman.
All rise. Yes, case number 369 on the calendar in the matter of Leyva versus Cordova. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Mr. Cordova is your former husband. You have 3 children.
Yes.
I gather 2 of those children were born during the course of your marriage. Is that right?
Yes.
And then you divorced in 2000.
Yes.
Got back together again, didn't remarry, but had another child.
Yes.
It is your claim, Miss Leyva, that your former husband deceived you and that he convinced you to relocate to New Mexico.
Yes.
He convinced you to relocate to New Mexico because he said he had a job there and you were going to be a family there. You left your home, broke your lease, took your kids out of school, moved from where to New Mexico?
From Denver, Colorado to Albuquerque.
And Mr. Cordova was supposed to join you. Instead, he stayed in Colorado.
That's where I live.
And married somebody else.
Yes.
So you want him to pay all your expenses, moving expenses, you have no job, you quit your job. Mr. Cordova says that he never told you to move to New Mexico. You moved to New Mexico because you wanted to be near your father. And he never had intentions of relocating.
No, I didn't.
Okay. When was your 3rd child born, Mr. Cordova?
July of 2001.
And after you and Miss Leyva were divorced, did you ever resume living together?
Yes.
When?
About January of 2001.
And how long did you stay together?
October of last year.
I moved out December 1st.
Why did you move out?
I met him when I was 15. It's been an ongoing, it's been a mess since then. I loved him, he loved me, but we never could get ourselves to get together, to be together. So after this time, I moved out. I got my own place. I had a very good job that I loved.
Just a second. So you moved out in December 2003 because you decided that you didn't want to be married to him or together as a couple anymore.
Yeah.
Well, something changed evidently at some point. When was that?
In May, he called and asked, it was my birthday in May, he told me that he had tickets to the De La Hoya fight if I wanted to go. So I agreed and I went.
How long did you go away for?
The weekend.
Who watched the children?
My mother. And then we came home and, you know, we were friends and stuff. In July, my father came out and it was a mess because we put our kids through ridiculous stuff. I mean,
it's clear to me that you did.
Yeah. My daughter's 10 years old. She's supposed to be in the 5th grade. I held her back. She's in 4th grade now. She's just struggling. She's at a 1st grade level. It's bad. And my father came down and met with Larry. They talked first, and then I came later on that day. I was crying, and I told him, Larry, if you do not want this, if you are not sure, please don't do this because...
Don't do what? I haven't heard about him doing anything.
Well, he was talking about me and him getting back together.
That was in July?
Yes. We had talked about before us moving to a different state and not knowing no one, a new start, and we can try stuff over and just work on our family.
Does that sound familiar to you?
No.
No. You never had that discussion
Her
with
father did come down to talk to me.
And what did he say to you?
He said
Is this
that,
her father?
Yes. He
So I
said
assume
that
he's going to tell me what he said too. What do you say he said to you, sir?
He said that he found a house for Michelle and my kids, and that Michelle wanted to go out there and live with him, and she's been wanting to move out there, and I knew that. That's not something that I wanted to do. I was already in a relationship with somebody else. They asked me if I wanted to.
Well, when did you start a relationship with somebody else?
In July.
So between May and July, you met somebody else?
Correct.
Did you tell that to your former wife?
No.
Shh.
Did I tell her I met somebody else?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
You did?
Yes.
Told her name?
Yes, she knew her name. As a matter of fact, she even stole her phone number from my house and was making prank calls.
I never called her, and that was because...
Never called who?
I've never called the girl. I went to his house. We were supposed to be together. He told me his last day of work was going to be August 11th at Denver International Airport was his last day. He's going to start a new job in Albuquerque August 16th. I went to his house one night, went over just to go see, you know, what was up, to hang out, and I found this number of this girl on his counter. And
when was that?
In August.
In August?
Yeah.
Before you moved?
I found this number.
Okay.
So I showed him, and I was going crazy, and I asked him what it was, and he wanted to grab it from me so bad. He didn't want me to get the number. Well, I put it into my phone while I was telling him.
So you knew that he had somebody else when you moved to New Mexico?
Yes. I just had found out then. I didn't know. He was deceiving me the whole time.
But you knew he had somebody else when you moved to New Mexico?
No, actually, he told me, no, that's an old number, and we don't talk.
No.
Which I don't believe.
No. But you knew better.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Unfortunately, raised 3 probably neurotic children because of the behavior of both of you.
Actually 4. I was raising her kids she had from someone else while we were married.
And later today,
David had shoved me into the fridge. I called the police. We went to sleep in separate rooms that night. Woke up the next morning and it was the same scene. I had been shoved into the same refrigerator. I called the police again.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michelle Leyva says ex-husband Larry Cordova owes for the cost to move. Michelle says Larry left her for another woman.
So when you went to New Mexico, you had some reservations as to whether or not he was going to come with you, right?
Yeah, he was supposed to be there.
I said you had reservations, which means that you weren't sure that he was going to come with you because he had somebody else.
Well, I left my daughter behind because she had a broken foot. I left her behind, and he said, that's fine. She'll come up when I come. He was supposed to come on that Sunday.
So who brought her?
He called and told me 2 nights before he was supposed to leave he wasn't coming. She was stuck there. I had no money to go back. He wasn't going to give me no money because he hasn't given me child support for about 5 months. I called my brother, and my brother came, and he brought her.
When did you get married, Mr. Cordova?
September.
Why don't you pay child support?
I do. As a matter of fact, she said she was going to try to make me look like a deadbeat dad, so I requested a balance from the
Can I see it, please?
County of Adams County Department of Social Services.
How much are you supposed to send every week or month?
They automatically take it out of my checks. It's $94.
A week?
A month.
A month. And that's because of when we got.
I'm speechless.
Well, no.
I mean,
when my children lived here, they were with me all the time.
No, they weren't.
Well, there's just a second. Shh. But
And
they're not with you now.
that was how the parenting plan was.
Shh, listen to me. But they're not with you now.
They're not. And
I didn't ask you anything.
And that's being resolved in the courts.
You have 3 children. How do you expect her to survive and support 3 children and work with $94 a month? And how dare you get married again? I'm speaking. And start another family when you have somebody when you have prior responsibility.
I taking care of my kids, and
no, you're not.
She moved, and I mean, we're resolving that in the courts now. So,
Mr. Cordova, listen to me very carefully, sir. Are you contesting her move to New Mexico?
No,
that requires a yes or a no.
I wasn't against her moving. Yes, I wasn't against her moving.
So you were in favor of her moving?
I was not in favor of her moving either. I didn't have a choice. The only choice I had was to move out there, and I wasn't going to do that.
No, sure you did. You said that her father came up to believe you, Mr. Cordova. Her father came up, and you spoke about her moving down there with her father, going to move into a house, and that's what she would like to do. You didn't say, I told her I didn't want her to move and take my children away.
Oh, I told her I didn't want her to take
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that then. I didn't hear that in your voice, Mr. Cordova.
Why?
How much do you earn?
About $4,100 a month.
You make $4,000 a month, and you support your 3 children to the tune of $94 a month?
Correct.
That's outrageous, sir. That's outrageous. I hope they get you good.
They are.
I hope they get you good. And I would make sure that there's a whole bunch of birth control in your house so that you don't have any more children until you learn to take care of these 3. Because you may have started out when you were 2 babies, but unfortunately raised 3 probably neurotic children because of the behavior of both of you.
Actually, 4. I was raising her kids she had from someone else while we were married.
How old was she when your first child was born?
16. I was 15.
You were 15.
16.
And how old were you? And how old were you?
18, I think. 18, 19. I think. 19. 18.
19. And she was 15. That's big trouble. That could be big trouble. So, I would take a whole bunch of birth control, sir. Make sure. And, you know, you have to either swallow it or use it in order for it to work. Do you understand?
Yes.
I don't know what your problem is, but you make choices in this world, and your choice was that you moved to New Mexico to be near your father.
Because he deceived. I only moved because of him.
It's been a lifetime of deception.
Well,
now.
I wouldn't. I'd be at home in my place with my kids where they were
Well, then
settled
let
in.
me tell you this, then move back home. I mean, you also have some responsibility. You are how old now?
27.
27, and you have 4 children. Is that right?
Yes.
That is enough children.
Yes.
You have enough children. Now you have to work on supporting them and taking care of them.
That's what I'm doing.
You have no case against Mr. Cordova, madam, and you have to get used to that. The only thing you have to get used to is paying more money. And if I were you, I would start paying it before somebody makes an order for me to pay it, because if you came before me and said you had 3 children and you make $4,000 a month and you're forking over $94 a month, I would torture you. We understand each other?
Yes.
Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think she made the right decision. I did not deceive her like she's saying.
He knows in his heart what he did.
She's mad that I got married, and she always thought we would be back together someday, and that's not what happened.
It's fine. It's not over.
Whenever I've been in any kind of relationship, she's tried to ruin it or destroy it.
He's not there for my kids at all.
I'm happy, and I want her to move on with her life and be happy.
He'll get what's coming to him. That's all.
And now the next case. 19-year-old receptionist Angela Weidinger is suing her mother, administrative assistant Deborah Povis, for stealing her settlement check. Angela says she was injured in a car accident when she was 4 years old.
Yeah, this is case number 407 on the calendar, the matter of Weidinger versus Povis.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Miss Weidinger, this is your mother. And you were in an automobile accident when you were a child.
Yes.
There was a settlement of that claim. And when you turned 18, you expected to start to receive yearly or quarterly installments on that settlement. And it is your claim that your mother kept half of one of the checks.
Yes.
And you want that money back.
Right.
When was the accident, Miss Povis?
December 29th of 1989.
And you acknowledge that you kept half the check.
Yes.
How much was half the check?
$3,070.
And you say that you kept half of it because the check was written in both your names and you're entitled to half of it.
Yes.
Okay. Describe the accident to me that occurred in 1989.
I was not in the car. My roommate was driving the car, lost control of the car.
Your roommate?
Yes.
Male or female?
Female.
So you allowed your daughter, who was how old?
4.
To ride in the car with your roommate?
Yes.
Who lost control of the car, so the accident was your roommate's fault?
Correct.
Whose car was it?
It was her car.
And where was your daughter sitting in the car?
In the passenger seat.
In the front?
Yes.
Was she in a car seat?
No, she was not. She was actually reclined back in the car seat, but it had a seatbelt on. And then when the impact happened, she dove underneath the seatbelt.
And?
She knocked her 4 front teeth out, that had been previously knocked out, so it was actually 4 fake teeth in the front that she knocked the bridge out. She had a concussion on her forehead, and she bit through her bottom of her chin and fractured her jaw.
So she was incapacitated for a while?
Yes, I don't remember how
And it was the roommate's fault?
Correct.
And what was the settlement that you agreed to?
In lieu of taking a $20,000 settlement at the time, I opted to set up a structured settlement because it would pay more money because I guess they invest it. So therefore, I set up payments for 4 years starting last year. So the first payment came last year for $61.40, and then another payment came this year, and then there's 2 more payments of that, and then the final payment of $10,000 in the year 2010.
So about $35,000.
Correct.
Good. Now, that's in addition to all of the expenses, to all the medical expenses that she had. Is that right? Those were paid?
She did not have medical insurance on her car insurance, so they only pay it with the final payment of the settlement.
So who paid the medical payments?
I paid them.
Let me see.
Here's some bills, and then...
Not the bills. I want to see the payments.
Oh.
I want to see the payments.
I don't have the payment receipts.
So then you didn't pay them?
I did pay them.
Show me. Show me a paid bill. Do you have the paid bills? Are any of those bills marked paid?
No.
Take them back. I'm not interested in them. So you don't have a paid bill for any of the bills from 1989, and you don't have any canceled checks. Is that right? So what you're telling me is in 2010, when your daughter gets your final payment, you're going to pay the doctors from 1989. Is that what you're telling me?
No. I've already paid the doctors.
You've already paid the doctors, and you don't have one paid bill.
It was from back 1989.
You get a paid bill when you paid the doctor.
It was also a settlement for the time that I had taken off work to care for
Just a second. Let's get to it, Miss Povis. First to the bills. I'm trying to see how you justify keeping half of this money. Not for the bills, because you didn't pay the bills. You stiffed the doctors. And the other thing that you say is you stayed home from work to take care of her?
Yes.
Who was the one who let her drive with the roommate without a car seat?
She wasn't required by law to have a car seat at that state.
Did you think it was wise for her to be in the front seat of a car? A 4-year-old? I mean, just because it's not the law, you're not responsible to do the right thing as her mother, to make sure she's sitting in the back seat in a car seat, well strapped in?
Yes.
Can I see a copy of the check, please?
Yes.
I want to see a copy of the settlement. This is a very poorly written settlement. It's surprising to me. But your name at that point was Shuck?
Correct.
And you signed as parent and natural guardian of Angela. You signed on her behalf.
Okay.
Is that right?
I signed the document, yes.
On her behalf. That's what it says. As parent and natural guardian of Angela, a minor.
Okay. I believe you. That's what they gave me to sign.
So you understood that you were signing on her behalf as her parent. Because she was a minor, she could not enter into an agreement. So now you can explain to me why you're entitled to any of this money.
Well, one, it was for reimbursement of my expenses, like I said.
You didn't pay any expenses.
I did pay expenses.
I don't believe you. I believe you stiffed the doctors.
I've never stiffed anyone in my entire life.
Show me. Show me one paid bill, I'll believe you. One paid bill.
I did not bring any of my canceled
receipts. Today is the day. Today's court.
Okay.
Angela Whitinger says her mother, Deborah Povis, stole her settlement check from an accident when she was 4 years old. Angela claims her mother is trying to cash in on her injuries.
So anybody can have bills. The paid bills show that you've paid the bills. Then I would consider them.
And the checks were to be made out to both of us to compensate for both of us according to that judgment up there. The checks are to be made out to Angela Whitinger and, at that time, Deborah
Yes, it says that they're going to be made out to both of you. So I want you to explain to me why you're entitled to any of this money. She was the one that was injured.
She was injured, yes. I also took time off work. I was off work, I know, for at least 2 weeks.
Show me that you took 2 weeks off from work.
This is in 1989, 90.
What were you doing in 1989?
I was a bill collector.
For whom?
Central Hardware.
Central Hardware where?
In Bridgeton, Missouri.
Is that where you still live?
I live in the same vicinity, yes.
Good. So why didn't you call them up and say, I need your payroll records to show that I took 2 weeks off from work to take care of my daughter?
Exist.
What?
They no longer exist. Central Hardware is no longer in existence.
Let's say you were working for Central Hardware and making $200 a week in 1989, maybe. That's $400. That's not $3,000. You aren't making $1,500 a week, were you? No. And you think you're entitled to half of all of this money, right?
Correct.
You're not. You're not. You signed this stipulation of settlement on behalf of your daughter. That money belongs to her. Period. End of discussion.
Then why would my name be on the check?
Because that's the way this judge signed the order. It's muddled. But just because you bear the title of mother doesn't mean you're entitled to any money. That doesn't sound fair, does it? That doesn't sound reasonable to you, does it? Just because you are her mother doesn't mean that you're entitled to profit from her injury, especially when you are profiting from her injury. If what you want is half of $34,000, you are profiting from her injury.
I had medical expenses that exceeded over $4,000.
And I'm going to tell you something, madam. You may have medical expenses that exceeded almost $4,000. I don't believe you paid them. And if you can produce paid bills from any of these doctors, you have the right to reschedule this case. But today was your day to come into court with proof. And you came to court with no proof. You came to court with bills that were still unpaid according to the bills. Because on the bottom, I can guarantee you, it says, please remit. Right?
Correct.
Please remit means that there's still money owed. So, if I'm wrong, produce a paid bill from half of those people. But if you can't, then how can you justify taking half of your daughter's money?
The same thing I just told you about the $4,000.
Listen, let's say a month from now you can produce bills for me for $4,000.
Correct.
I doubt it, because you're not going to be able to. But let's say you can. Why do you think you're entitled to $17,000?
I only kept $3,000.
So is what you're saying that you don't intend to keep half of the rest of the checks? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
You're questioning. That's a question. It is what you're saying. You only want to be reimbursed for what you spent out of pocket, and the rest of the money you intend to turn over to your daughter, and the most you've spent so far, according to you, which I don't believe, is $4,000.
Correct.
Fine. Then, right now, I am issuing a provisional judgment for your daughter in the amount of $3,000, which means you're going to turn over that $3,000 to her in 30 days. You have 30 days to send into the court paid bills from those people, from the doctor, the hospital, whoever else was involved. And if you can do that, then I will rescind the order. Is that fair?
Yes. Can I say something too?
Yes, I just want to know if you think that that's fair.
Yes.
Good. Okay.
I also found another in the statement, or the settlement, it says that when it was settled, there was $9,166 that was paid. And of that sum, $6,666.66 will be paid to my attorney, and $2,500 will be paid to me for Angela's benefit. I know that the $2,500 is to be used only for Angela's benefit, and I will deposit that sum in a restricted account. I further understand that the balance will be held.
Can I see that? Can I see what you're reading from that one?
And I've never seen any of this money either. So that could...
Can I see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This you didn't give me. This says that at the time you signed this agreement, you got a check for $9,166. $6,666 was paid to your attorney, and $2,500 was paid to you for Angela's benefit. And you were directed to deposit that money in a restricted bank account. And I further understand, you signed this, that the balance will be held and invested for Angela's use. What'd you do with the money?
I put her through braces.
As a mother, I would think that that's...
Shh. You have a bill for the braces?
No, but she did have braces, which I made payments on.
Well, when did she have braces?
I believe she got them when she was 10 or 11.
Well, a lot of kids get braces, madam, that have absolutely nothing to do with an accident. Most of my children had braces. They were never in a car accident.
She had fractured her jaw, and when she fractured her jaw, it positioned it backwards.
You have proof of that?
Did she fracture her jaw?
No.
Oh.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
I hate to do this, but I have to. Could I see it?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Angela Weidinger says her mother, Deborah Povis, stole her settlement check from an accident when she was 4 years old. Angela claims her mother is trying to cash in on her injuries.
Okay, I've heard you, and I've heard what you're saying, which is now memorialized, that you do not intend to take any more of your daughter's money, that you intend to endorse the remainder of the checks over to her that she's going to be receiving in the coming years. That the only thing in question is the $3,000 that you kept from this year's settlement check, and that you are going to provide the court within 30 days of paid bills. If you do that, your daughter has acknowledged that any money that you were out of pocket as a result of this accident should be reimbursed to you, right?
Right.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000 to be held for 30 days. That's all. Thank you.
Party are excused. You may step out.
With everything that's gone on in the past 20 years of my life, it's just been ridiculous, so I thought it was finally time to bring it into law.
We've had a rocky relationship.
Since I was 8, I've been in and out of her house, living with my grandparents, living with my aunt.
She's never lived, per se, with my parents. She stayed with them briefly.
I moved out at 17 and have been supporting myself since then.
She did move out on her own when she was 17.
Me and her have never really gotten along as mother and daughter.
I'm hoping that now this is over with, it's done with, that we can both move on with our lives.
I don't see a relationship.
Oh!